We're going to have the roll call. Commissioner Sachs is stuck in traffic, but we'll go ahead and get started because I know we have a long day.
Vice Mayor Baxter,
Here.
Commissioner Flores, Mayor Marino,
Here.
Commissioner Powell, Commissioner Sachs, Commissioner Weiss,
Here.
Commissioner Woodward. Here. Thank you.
Thank you. I've asked Vice Mayor Baxter to lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
If you're able, please stand. Dear God, we are meeting today to conduct matters of business for our community. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness. Impart your wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let the record show Commissioner Sachs has joined us. All right, so we have two different agendas today. We have our regular agenda and our workshop. May I please get a motion to approve the agenda? Do we have any additions, deletions, or modifications?
Yes, Mayor, we do. We actually deleted the original items for CJC, renumbered our item A, which the board will be addressing, and also added on the process for hiring a new county administrator. That concludes our additions, deletions, and substitutions.
May I get a motion to accept?
So moved.
Commissioner Sachs?
This one? I'll take both. Doesn't work like that. Good morning, Mayor, and thank you. When was this part of this is an agenda item, and when was this transmitted to the public? I've gotten over 175 emails about this issue, and the folks wanted to be here. And I just need to know for the record, before we get into a discussion of this and a vote, when was this telegraphed to the public?
Over a week ago, because we postponed it from last week's meeting, saying we were going to move it to this week's meeting, and then it was agenda that day.
So I wonder if the clerk could give me a date so I can respond to the hundreds of people who have emailed me about this issue and wanted to be heard. I will file those objections with the clerk, but if I could have the date that this was sent to the public, and so they were notified to be here today.
Actually, Administrator Baker, why don't you go ahead and answer that? It was March 11th, correct? Okay.
So on March 11th, I want this public. So on March 11th, all those who filed objections to this, that was sent out to the public on our website?
It was earlier.
It was actually
Week
earlier than
before.
that. Commissioner Weiss?
Yeah, once this was, once the original agenda, so it was a week before the March 11th meeting.
March 4th?
The agenda came out, and once I saw it was on there and there was only a week's notice, I asked that the item be moved to the following week's, or the next agenda, which made it the 18th, so that would have been 16 days. And we immediately notified the folks at Century Village that were very interested in this item, that it had been moved.
Okay, so for the record, it would be, Commissioner Weiss, that would be March 4th?
Yes.
That it was sent, it was placed on our website. I just want to make sure that we've done everything proper legally, so that on March 4th, it was stated on our website, the Palm Beach County website, that this issue would be discussed and come up for a vote today. Is that
It was
correct,
originally
sir?
posted, it was going to be on the 11th.
Okay.
And then that day, or the next day, actually would have been the 5th. The next day is when staff pulled it.
I don't, that's fine. I just need to know what was, legally, what was the date, and is it sufficient notice for the public to have this issue on today's date, which is March 18th? So I'm just asking for the date that it was public, so that so that proper notice was given to the public. Can somebody, maybe the clerk, could answer that question?
Administrator Baker would be the person for that.
Okay, Administrator Baker.
Thank you, Mayor. On March 4th, this item, along with our regular agenda, was issued, placed on our website. After
so
speaking
March
with the,
4th. Okay.
after speaking with the district commissioner, we pulled the item and put it for a week later, which would be today. It was scheduled for the 11th, posted on the 4th, and then we rescheduled it for today, the 18th.
So on March 4th, so the public knows, on March 4th, this item was placed on our website, that it would be discussed and come up for a vote today.
It was placed on our website on the 4th. It was going to come up for discussion on the 11th. Speaking with the district commissioner, we pulled it to give more time, and we scheduled it for today. And so this item has been out there.
So on
We've
March
also-
11th, I'm sorry to interrupt you, go right ahead.
We also worked with the district commissioner and his staff. Our staff went out to speak twice, I know of, on this particular item to get community input prior to putting it on, scheduling it for March 11th.
Okay, I appreciate that.
The easiest
I just
answer-
want to be sure that legally, that we have done the right thing for the public to give them proper notice of this issue. And I appreciate what y'all have done for Commissioner Weiss and his constituent, but I also have constituents. I just want to make sure that legally, we have done the right thing. So what you're saying, Ms. Baker, is that we have done the right thing, and proper notice was given to the public that this was going to be up today for discussion and a vote. That's correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. And that date would have been March 4th, and then again on March 11th for today's date of March 18th. Thank you so much, Madam Mayor.
Okay, may I please have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended? I don't, who did the?
I did the motion.
Okay. Vice Mayor, Commissioner Woodward. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So you're opposing the agenda?
Madam Mayor, based on the hundreds of emails I have received today and yesterday and last week, I oppose the item coming up for discussion and vote today. Thank you.
In favor, 6, opposed, 1. Thank you. And let the record reflect that Commissioner Powell has joined us also. Okay. We do have an item on our regular agenda before we hear the La Quinta Hotel. Item 3A, 1 and 2. May I get a motion to receive and file and a motion to approve?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? See that that motion carries 7-0. Okay, we are now on item 3B1, which is the conceptual operational strategy for the provision of supportive housing for seniors. And I believe staff has a presentation. Good morning. Who's leading us today?
Good morning. Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. It's
Can
me,
you pull that a little closer to you, Isabel?
Yeah, a little bit better now? It's on. Okay. Good morning again, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. It's Samia Jala, Director of Facilities Development and Operations and Assistant County Administrator. With me, joining me at the table is Assistant County Administrator Tammy Fields, Dr. James Green, Director of the county's Community Services Department, Taruna Malhotra, Deputy Director of Community Services, Barbie Bogaira, Property and Real Estate Management Director under FDO, This item consists of 3 motions. It recommends approval of an agreement for purchase and sale with Roar Asset 5981 LLC for the acquisition of property consisting of approximately 3 acres of improved land with a 114-room hotel located at 5981 Okeechobee Boulevard in unincorporated Palm Beach County for the purpose of providing senior housing accommodations at a purchase price of $15 million plus closing costs estimated to be $40,000. It also recommends approvals for the budget transfer required to fund the acquisition if the board decides to so proceed. And most importantly, it recommends approval of the conceptual operational strategy to use the hotel for the provision of supporting housing for seniors. As you will see, this is an FDO and Community Services joint presentation as the item involves infrastructure and the provision of services. So let us start with a very high-level overview. The hotel, as I stated before, sits on approximately 3 acres of land on Okeechobee Boulevard. The property is improved with a 114-room hotel, which was built in 1988. As this board knows, the county's priorities include having in place mechanisms for the provision of services addressing housing needs, and conversion of hotels is just one of those tools. The strategy that the counties implement sometimes are remedial in nature, like what we do when we need to provide services, and sometimes we have tools that are preventative in nature, like the one we are proposing today. Through this item, staff is recommending that the facility be used to provide support in housing, that is, providing an accommodation to keep individuals and families from becoming unsheltered. Just for general context, as it relates to the path that brought us here today, on September 17, 2024, the board authorized staff to negotiate the acquisition of the property with the seller, and this board gave us 3 different conditions to do one. Number 1, making sure that we did outreach to the community to gather their input as to the proposed initiative. Number 2, developing an operational conceptual strategy for the provision of temporary housing supporting services from the property if it were to be acquired. And number 3, providing this board an overview of the condition of the property. In alignment with board direction, staff obtained 2 appraisals, as are summarized on this slide, resulting in an average appraised value of $13.9 million. The original asking price for the property was $16 million. Staff negotiated down to 15, but that's still 7.7 approximately % above the average appraised value. As it is well known, I believe, at this time, the hotel is currently operating under the La Quinta brand, and is subject to a franchise agreement between the seller and La Quinta Franchising LLC. The franchise agreement provides for the payment of a franchise release fee to terminate the franchise agreement. The purchase and sale agreement that is being considered by this board today recommends that, in addition to the purchase price, the county will contribute an amount not to exceed $1,762,000 towards the franchise release fee. The county will also pay closing costs estimated to be approximately $40,000. We were also directed, as I stated before, to conduct a condition assessment, and to do that, we retained the services from Son & Associates, one of the architectural engineer firms that is under contract with the county. In a nutshell, no fatal flaws were identified in the condition assessment. The final report estimated approximately $2.8 million in renovation costs across all trades. And also, staff estimates that we have an initial investment of about $1 million on what I like to call bringing the facility up to county facility standards. And when I refer to that, we're talking about the security cameras that we use in our county facilities, the access control, the fire alarm systems that are compatible with what we already have in other county facilities. So if we summarize all capital investment required, we're looking at approximately $180,000 per unit. As can be expected, in order to use the hotel to support housing, permits will be required. The county's Planning, Zoning, and Building Department holds the permitting authority, and if this board were to authorize acquisition of the hotel, then we will work with them. At the same time, we're dealing with closing and making sure we can obtain all the permits required. And then I will ask the board permission to cover a little bit more in detail than I usually do the funding source for this project, because apparently it has created some misunderstandings in the community. Will certainly do that. Will slow my pace. So we usually don't take a deeper dive into funding because it tends to be just a very matter-of-fact component within the agenda items. The agenda item we're recommending today has two funding sources. One fund is called ARPA Replacement Funds. The second fund is called Infrastructure Sales Tax Funds. And what you see on the slide right now is a print screen of the agenda item. Because we are government, we handle budgeting in a structured manner, which means that for every fund that our colleagues in the Office of Financial Management and Budget put in place, they have a number and a name or a title. In this case, the funding source that I have outlined in red is the IST, the Infrastructure Sales Tax Fund, Unit Q001. The name, the title of that fund is Housing Units for the Homeless, Extremely Low Income, and Low Income. That is just the name of the fund. And it basically serves to identify what the fund is.
Hold on a second, Esme.
Yes?
Vice Mayor Baxter?
Good morning. Just so that I'm following this, is the infrastructure dollars that you're saying this funding source is coming from, is that something that is a pot of dollars sitting there, it's already been allocated to help certain constituents?
So actually, as shown on this one, is a budget line that was approved in 2017 when the IST project plan was approved. And the larger concept of that funding source is to provide for homeless, extremely low, and low income.
And that, got that. So, and that was a part of what, because I know when the county back then went after the infrastructure sales tax, there were certain projects that were identified.
Yes.
This wasn't one of those projects, but what you're saying is you set up a fund of dollars to help this problem within the infrastructure sales tax?
Correct, but let me take a step back for
Okay.
a second. In 2019, this board authorized something that is called the Housing Strategies. It was basically a white paper that said, with that line item, we recommend, and the board approved, that we do cottage homes, and then 3 additional strategies to pursue housing at extremely low and low income were identified. But aside from cottage homes, no direct project, not specific, no other specific project. Okay, so it's funding that is there to take care of extremely low, homeless needs and low income.
Follow-up, Mayor? Sure. And so how much money is in that fund left over from the infrastructure sales tax?
Going on my memory, I want to say close to $13 million.
If we spend this or if we don't? If we approve
Currently.
today?
Currently in the balance.
That's currently what's in there. So it wouldn't cover the full amount, which is why we would need to use the ARPA dollars?
Correct. So we are basically proposing to use what we have available under that line item and then supplement or complete the capital investment with ARPA funds,
So that fund would then be exhausted?
basically.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So going back to the presentation, if I may, this slide is there just to show that the name, the title of that fund was established in 2017. And intentionally, we capture that print screen because it shows it's coming from the website that the county holds for infrastructure sales tax. And we're outlining the name that ties to Q001, which again, I know I'm being repetitive, but it's homeless, extremely low income, and low income funds.
It's me before you go on.
Yes.
Commissioner Flores and then Commissioner Sacks.
Since we're talking about funding source, and you're pretty much talking about capital expenditure, can you also, I'm assuming you're gonna get to it at one point, can you talk about where the funding is coming for the reoccurring annual? Thank you.
We will get there if the commissioner and the board allows us. We have it, I want to say, like in slide 26, 27. We bring all the costs together so that you can see the full picture. Okay? Is that okay? So
Hold on one second. Commissioner Sacks, your light is on.
Have you finished with your sentence?
I had not, but I followed
Oh, you
this
could
board's
go right
direction.
ahead. I'll wait for you.
So I just wanted to basically summarize what we just discussed regarding funding.
Okay, now you finish with your sentence. How much money do we have from HUD and our federal partners for housing, homeless, and low income that would obviate going into tax money from our people, our residents? Is it me? Dr. Galasso, do you know that? No, I'm asking you, ma'am, because you're doing the funding, so you must know how much money we have from our federal partners for
Hold on,
homeless housing, low-income housing, and things like that.
Administrator Baker, you put your light on. Would you like to respond?
I would like to be able to lay out what we've done, because this direction has come from prior boards. It's been approved in a number of plans that boards have approved. And we also have, and we'll go through the funding cycle for what we've spent in the past and what currently we're spending. It also will reflect grant dollars, the federal dollars. It will also reflect county dollars being implemented. And it's a 5-year look to say what we've spent and where we are today. And then the board will give us direction on where you want us to go from there.
Thank you, but does anybody in the staff know how much money we have given to us by HUD and federal lenders, our federal partners, that would obviate having to use tax money? And I know, Dr. Green, you're shaking your head. I don't know if,
Yeah,
if
so-
Dr. Collazo, is that, you're leading this? May I
Yeah.
hear from Dr. Green?
Of course.
Okay, fine,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you. James Green, Director of the Community Services Department. We receive federal dollars from Housing and Urban Development. Most of those dollars are used towards operating various housing programs, not necessarily for capital expenses. We have applied for dollars to utilize for capital expenses, but we've not heard back from them yet. And so we can give you more specifics as relates to HUD funding if you need it.
Yes, I do, because I tell you why, Dr. Green. We're getting into tax money here. This is for homeless and low income. And much of the money that we receive from our federal partners that we have used for housing projects, just last week we did, for a project that we approved in Pahokee, and other ones, I know Melissa's place in the Glades, as well as a number of others, have used federal funds. So I need to know, and before we go on and on about this wonderful project we're doing here, how much we have left in federal funds so that we don't need to go into tax money. Do you have that right now, or you could do it maybe at the end of the presentation,
Yeah,
Mr. Green?
maybe we can
Okay.
look to provide that, because there are some, I can't speak. I know we utilize CDBG for some things, but that is outside of my department, so.
Sure.
maybe the
I
housing-
had actually, I will get these numbers. I got them from Jonathan Green last week. So I'll get them by the end of the presentation.
All right.
Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Collazo.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right, please continue. Thank
Okay,
you.
Perfect. And let me, if this board allows me, just a point of clarification. You have a joint presentation because we have two different funding sources that this board will need to consider. One for capital investment and one for operational, ongoing operations. And you're going to see them summarized towards the end of the presentation. But trying to bring home the concept of the funding source as an example so that those that are in the audience have the evidence as to how we have handled title, this fund before. I shared that it was established at one point in 2017 to deal with one specific project, cottage homes, and that's the photo you have on the left side of the slide. And on the right side, I have included the actual agenda item from Cottage Homes in 2022, showing that it is, in fact, the standard for us to include the budget number of that budget fund specific unit, and then also the name. So in this agenda item, we did what we do typically in every single agenda item. It's unfortunate that it created some level of confusion, but we wanted to make sure that it was correctly clarified. So with that said, at this point, I am going to leave the floor to James, who will then brief this board on the community outreach efforts and the recommended operational strategy.
All right, thank you, Dr. Isami. Good morning to the board, mayor, board, and county administrator. Thank you for this opportunity to address, a pressing issue, affordable housing, that weighs heavily on our community, one that affects some of our most vulnerable, our senior citizens, our seniors and veterans. My dad was a senior and veteran who served this country honorably, and my mom, we just celebrated her 80th birthday a couple of weeks ago. So I really empathize with the concerns that have been heard and with the issues that our seniors and our veterans are currently facing. And I want to acknowledge the concerns raised by the residents of Century Village on January the 24th when we were there. Their voices do matter, and their concerns about this project, I want you to know that they were heard and respected. When we met with Century Village residents late January of this year, residents were concerned about their safety. They were concerned about their property values. They were concerned about the location of the facility and many, many other things. And finding innovative ways to address the urgent plight of countless of seniors and veterans who find themselves on the brink of losing their homes is not an easy task. Many of our seniors and veterans are dealing with circumstances beyond their control. They've spent decades contributing to our society, only to face eviction notices, skyrocketing rents, and the heart-wrenching reality of having nowhere to turn. And so in my role, I received the calls of the distressed widow who went from 2 incomes to 1 and is now trying to figure things out, and the veteran who proudly served this country and is dealing with the harsh realities of a fixed income that's not keeping pace with the rising cost. And some of our seniors and veterans are living in hotels, paying exorbitant rates, simply trying to survive day by day, while their dreams of stability slip further from reach. And they're often left with no options, no safety net, and no support system. So this proposal to purchase a hotel and convert it into affordable housing efficiency units is a lifeline. It represents a tangible solution to a crisis of unaffordable housing that is threatening the very fabric of our community. So if the board chooses to move forward with the purchase of the La Quinta, staff recommends that it be converted to permanent supportive housing. Staff does not recommend that it be used as a homeless shelter. We need more affordable housing for our seniors and veterans. Affordable housing is the most effective solution to preventing our seniors and veterans from becoming unhoused. A few months ago, the Department of Housing and Economic Development partnered with the Florida International University, and they brought to the board an affordable housing demand report. And according to that report, Palm Beach County has 37,164 affordable housing unit gap for residents who are at or below 50% of the area median income. And you can see that gap depicted on this chart. To give you a better idea of what this means, an individual who's at or below 30% of AMI can only afford a monthly rent of approximately $564. If a person is at 50% AMI, they can afford a monthly payment of approximately $937. And now when you look at the fair market rate for the 33417 area code, HUD shows that an efficiency is going for approximately $1,550. And although we look for data specifically about seniors who are below this rate, we did find data from Schemberg for the region that showed about 44% of our seniors are considered housing cost burdens, which means they're paying above 30% of their income on rent. And that's because the cost of rent is above what they can afford. Remember that, you know, the $500 per month for 30% AMI and below, and the $900 per month for 50% AMI and below. When we did a search for housing in that region, specifically for studios or one-bedroom housing, you'll see that there were 10 results that came up, and that the rents were around $1,400 all the way up to $1,650 per month. And for those seniors and veterans who have received an eviction notice, or the property is being sold, and they're forced to leave their homes with very little notice. As you know, the state preempted the county's attempt to give more notice in certain cases. Well, when they're in hotels and they're trying to find another place, this is what they're paying. If they're in there for a month, they're paying $4,000 for a studio or a hotel, and it just makes it even more difficult. And they get so far behind that it's impossible to catch up. And then as they identify potential places, they face all types of barriers like low credit scores, previous evictions. They're not earning 3 times the amount of rent and can't afford even the first and last month's rent that's required to move in, and let alone the security deposits that are very, very high. And these seniors and veterans, they oftentimes need refuge and the ability to catch up. And they choose to, if they choose to utilize a facility like what we're proposing, they could stay permanently or until they're ready to make a transition into a larger place. And so nearly 30% of our residents in Palm Beach County are seniors, and many of them are on a fixed income. They become vulnerable to things like significant increases in their rent.
Hold on one second.
Go
Vice
ahead.
Mayor?
Dr. Green, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
So, a couple things. We are here for a presentation to discuss numbers and facts, and if we want to continue proceeding forward with the cost of what it would do to this La Quinta hotel.
Okay.
I could not be a bigger advocate for our veterans, our senior citizens, than anyone in this room, maybe this county, having family members who have served.
Mm-hmm.
I would appreciate when you're giving us these, if we could stick to the numbers and the facts, because we have multiple things going on to help these people. I don't like that this is being sold as the one and only project that we have going on that could help people.
Sure. Absolutely.
So if we could stick to some of the facts and tell us the numbers, I would really greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So nearly 30% of our residents are seniors, and they become vulnerable to things like, okay.
Hold on a second. Commissioner Powell, would you like to speak?
Yes, I was going to say, some of the information that he's giving is helping me develop a comprehensive understanding of what's going on in the county. I was not here when you all started this process, especially when it comes to the La Quinta. So it has some value to me to kind of know there's a room full of people who may know a lot more about this than I did. I wasn't at the January 24th meeting when you all talked about safety, property values, and location, and then the safeguards for the 55 and older. So for me, this is a little bit more value that you're adding, because I'm taking notes and trying to process, because I know that we're going to have public comment, and I want to be able to have a full picture. So it might be a little bit more helpful for me to understand what's going on, Vice Mayor and Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you. I just want to clarify for my colleague, the January 24th meeting was on-site at Century Village, so you were not in, you could have been welcome to attend, but you were not invited, so.
No, I understand
You didn't
that.
miss it.
No, I understand that. I got it. I know I wasn't there, but I know we spoke about the January 24th meeting.
I just
Being
wanna-
that I wasn't there, of course I wasn't there because I'm not that commissioner, but there were things that were discussed that obviously are being brought up since it was mentioned.
Yep.
So I'd like to kind of
No, I have no.
flesh that out.
I'm totally supportive of making sure everybody gets all the information they want. I just wanted to clarify that if you had thought you had missed that meeting, you didn't.
No, I didn't think that.
Okay.
I'm well aware.
Okay.
Vice Mayor Baxter.
Thank you, Mayor. And Commissioner Powell, I would never want to stop you from getting information, ever. I guess my point is, I would just like it to be less emotional and more fact-based on yes, if there's 30% of Palm Beach County's population that's comprised of seniors, great. I mean, I just don't want this to be sold as something, it's the only solution. So thank you.
No, thank you for that. But like I was saying, for me, it brings value. So I don't want to knock your understanding, but it gives me a little bit more value and understanding, especially when it comes to housing. As you all know, this is one of our priority issues, a huge issue for us here in Palm Beach County. And fortunately or unfortunately, I think it's important that we all know everything that's involved. So, and it is an emotional issue. There have been people who have called my office and walked in who have been crying. So there's no way to, get around the emotion. But I get what you're saying, but also I think for me, there's value in it. So thank you.
Thank you. And I think the biggest takeaway on this slide is the fact that in the next 5 years, 1,000 units will cease to be affordable workforce and will become market rate units. So that's something we need to preempt also.
Yep, exactly. Okay. Mayor, proceed?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
This is interactive.
So our department, we served 600 seniors with rent in FY24. We helped over 2,600 seniors with their electric or utility bills. Legal aid helped prevent 328 seniors from being evicted and helped more than 44 of them with their foreclosures. And we have approximately 91 seniors in our shelters, 155 in our rapid rehousing programs, 45 in our transitional housing, 154 in permanent supportive housing, and many of these residents are stabilized and could be permanently housed. So staff's recommendation is to convert the rooms into single-room occupancy units and to use them as permanent supportive housing. We'll work with the Palm Beach County Housing Authority, who I believe is in the audience, to conduct the screenings for tenants and to do the property management. And we recommend providing on-site wraparound supports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And our plan is to keep the renovations to a minimum. If this project moves forward, we'll place a lot of focus on the screening process. We understand the importance of moving the right tenants into the place, and so we'll ensure that they're at least 55 years and older, and they're a resident of the county. They can manage their own lifestyles. That's really important as well, and have the capacity to respond to emergency situations. They must be at risk of losing their housing or in a transitional setting. They would be required to pay up to 30% of their income and must agree to some of the behavioral requirements that are set forth. And we're not looking to place individuals who are sex offenders or have committed violent crimes. Illegal drugs is not something that we're looking to allow on the property, and the tenants must have the mental and the physical capacity to, again, manage their daily lives. Any behavior that jeopardizes the safety of others certainly will not be tolerated, and it's important to note that the efforts made to exit seniors to the appropriate settings when necessary. So if they get to a point where they're too old and they can't take care of themselves, then we'll work with assisted living facilities and others to move them into those units.
So Dr. Green, you actually brought up something that I think is important to note. You comment on they must be a Palm Beach County resident. What qualifies as a Palm Beach County resident? Because if we do a program like this, we can't have other counties, states just busing people in to take advantage of this program when the need is here. So what qualifies someone as being a county resident?
So typically what we look at is whether they have, they've been here for at least 6 months and they have some type of driver's license. There may be some other requirements, but those are two of the biggest things that we look at to determine if they're a resident of the county.
Thank you.
We have Found Care, who's a federally qualified health center that is next door to this facility that could provide medical care, and if their health begins to decline, we'll again work with nursing homes and ALFs to place them. We anticipate that some of the seniors who are dealing with a crisis will eventually get back onto their feet and will want to move into a larger place. And so we want to make sure that we have relationships with many of the housing units and developers that are out there to provide that opportunity. And so our goals, again, is to help them to get back on their feet and to prevent them from being unhoused. And this will help advance the objectives of Leading the Way Home and the housing plan for all that the board endorsed, and help free up some of the space in many of our transitional housing units that are out there. So we plan to work with the Housing Authority again to manage the property, and they do manage a large senior housing facility right across the street, Drexel. We would work with them and other nonprofits to help facilitate some of the activities and the wraparound supports to our seniors, and could potentially put a meal site near the facility and work with Palm Trend to provide transportation and capitalize on some of the skills that some of our seniors have, and maybe utilize them to help facilitate some of the activities that we'll be planning for them, working with entities like AARP and others to maybe provide some type of stipend for them. We plan to make a number of activities available for our seniors, both on-site and off, and we want them to remain as active as possible because we know how much that improves their quality of life and it really helps them to live longer. And so, just to reiterate, we're not proposing that this be a homeless shelter. We're not proposing that this become a homeless encampment site. No substance use or criminal activity will be allowed, and there won't be any walk-ups allowed for entry either. And so now what I want to do is turn it over to Taruna, and she's going to go through some of our funding considerations and the cost of operating this facility.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Commissioners.
Pull the microphone up to you, Turner. Thank
Sorry.
you.
Madam Mayor.
Oh, hold on a second. Commissioner Powell, sorry, I didn't see your light on.
And I can wait until the end, but I've got a series. Can I be recognized for a series of questions to Dr.
Is it what
Green?
we've covered already, or do you have questions about what may be coming up?
It's in relation, you know what? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know what's coming up.
Tell
I
you
don't
what,
have
why
a
don't you
crystal
ask your
ball.
questions and we'll see where they land.
I'm
Go
sorry?
ahead.
Perfect. Dr. Green, thank you for your presentation. A few things I want to hit on with regard to your presentation. Number one, you indicated that this will be supportive housing versus a homeless shelter. Can you define what that looks like in terms of supportive housing versus a homeless shelter? In quick words or briefly, what would you define as a homeless shelter versus supportive housing that would be here, located at this particular location?
Sure. Yes, so a homeless shelter would be a facility where people who are currently unhoused on the street would be placed in a shelter for up to 90 days or so, okay? This facility is not looking to place individuals from the street. We're not looking to move people from the street into these units. We're looking to help for individuals or seniors who are about to be evicted, or they're housed, but they're at risk of becoming unhoused. We're looking to place them into the facility. Or if they're housed and it's just in a temporary setting, then they'll be placed in a more permanent setting. And so those would be the major differences between the two.
Follow-up?
Sure.
If someone had just been evicted and they're now living in their car, but they are not used to being homeless, would they then qualify for this, even whether they have a job or not?
We would look to move them into our homeless shelter, perhaps. That would be our first option. If they're unhoused, they're living in the streets, living in cars, under bridges, or in parks, what we have communicated is the option would be to move them into our shelter settings. And we do have programs now where we have a low acuity and a no acuity, where we're utilizing ERAP dollars, emergency rental assistance dollars, to move those individuals directly from the street into housing opportunities as well. And so we would exercise that option, not necessarily this particular housing unit, but maybe through our Smart Landlord campaign or others.
Thank you. You've indicated that there will be safeguards in place in terms of the screening process and with regard to the safety, property values, and location of this particular site. What do those safeguards look like in terms of the screening process? In broad scale, we can think of some, but and you don't have to drill all the way down, but what do those safeguards look like?
Well, typically we want to make sure that we're doing criminal background screenings. We want to make sure that there is some level of assessment done to determine their mental and physical capacity to manage daily activities. We want to make sure that they understand the rules and what is going to be required of them if they move into this facility, so that we can set them up for success. And we want to ensure that there are successful placements in this facility. And so those would be just some of them. But the Palm Beach County Housing Authority currently has screening, a mechanism and a process that they utilize to determine if individuals are eligible for their housing facilities. And so we would adopt some of those practices and maybe expand on some of those to ensure that we could mitigate any, ineligible placements or wrong type of placements.
Thank you.
If I could add to that, we've also been in
Tammy,
contact.
pull the microphone a little closer to you.
Oh, sorry.
We need to figure out a way to get those microphones closer to you all so
This
that.
one doesn't stretch anymore, so I'll get closer to it.
Perfect, thank you.
I just wanted to add that we've also already been in contact and in coordination with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Department regarding this project or any of the projects that we work on, so that coordination would continue here as well.
Thank you. This is a big project, 114 units, approximately $180,000 per, for, I guess, the redevelopment of each unit. Is there an example, or is there a process that we've seen another municipality, another county, or even a public-private partnership that has done something similar? It doesn't have to be in Florida, but somewhere else, that has indicated that this would be a successful maneuver?
There are multiple projects around the country that have approached this with hotel or motel conversions. In fact, that's one of the preferences that HUD has expressed for dealing with the escalating cost of housing. And so the one grant application that we have in, they gave a preference specifically for housing that was based on hotel and motel conversions. But they have occurred throughout the country where this is happening. In fact, there is one La Quinta that is being converted in Dade County currently.
Has this, as a follow-up, has this model been shown to be successful?
Backgrounds.
at the locations that it's been done? And is there any, information that you can provide with regard to the level of success, as well as, is there a tracking mechanism that we would look at for us, specifically for Palm Beach County, to evaluate after, if this were to go into effect, evaluate how successful it has been? Are we moving people in? Is this in perpetuity forever? Is there our lifetime that this particular project would be in effect, and then it would sunset? How would that work?
Yeah, so there are, and we can send you information on projects that have happened in other areas and some of the successes. And we would look to track individuals who are moving into these facilities and how well they're performing. And, ideally, we'd like to see their income stabilize. Many of them are on a fixed income and they're in a deficit. And moving into this place, they would likely be able to move out of that deficit and stabilize financially, and maybe that would open up more opportunities. And so that may be one of the measures that we look at as we look to track and evaluate this particular project.
Thank you. As they stabilize financially and they're now making more than 30%, or if they start making a little bit more, do they start to be charged more, or is there a process to say, hey, you've been here for 2 years and now you're doing pretty well, you're stabilized, it's time for you to, get out or look for other alternatives? How does that work?
Well, the model that we've seen in other housing authorities and other facilities is they're reassessed at the end of the year. And so, yeah, if they earn additional income or if they earn more, then they may end up paying more. There are also models where, that additional amount that they're earning goes into an escrow and it helps them to move into their own place or into a permanent house that they own. And so there are different models out there. We do plan to reassess them on an annual basis. And if there's an opportunity for them to pay a little bit more, because what we're recommending, and you'll see these in the numbers, the rents are pretty low. And so if they're able to pay a little bit more and it helps offset the cost for the county or other entities, then certainly that would be an option.
Thank you. Dr. Green, what are we doing with the funds that the individuals who are who are utilizing the program, what are we doing with those funds that they'll be paying? Does that go back to the county in terms of operation cost, or how does that work? Or does it, you indicated a type of an account, almost like an escrow account that could possibly be given back to them. What are we doing with these funds that we are collecting?
Yeah, so a lot of that is going to be broken down into the budget that Taruna is about to go over, but yeah, it does help offset some of the operational costs. It doesn't offset it completely, as you'll see here momentarily, but it will help offset it to some degree.
Thank you. No further questions, Madam Mayor.
Administrator Baker.
Madam Mayor, just wanted to follow up on Commissioner Powell's question, where has this been successful? And actually in Los Angeles, California, the city has successfully converted quite a few units from hotel into permanent housing. San Francisco has also utilized this effort. Seattle has implemented various initiatives to convert the hotels into housing for homeless individuals, utilizing emergency fund partnerships with local nonprofits, the same that we have been doing and will be recommending to the board. Phoenix, Arizona, Toronto, and Vancouver, just to name a few. We can do some more research if you like.
Thank you. Madam Administrator, in those places where this has been put in place, and those, when you talk about being successful, has there been a tracking mechanism or an evaluation to show that once this has been used and utilized over a period of time, it's working? One of the biggest challenges that we're seeing is we can put a program in place, whether it's using the Housing Authority or HUD, and the program is structured in a manner that should work, but after it's been evaluated, it starts to look like it has not been successful. So in those areas that you indicated, such as Seattle, Los Angeles, and the different areas throughout the country that it's been utilized, do we have or do we know of a success rate, and how long? Has this been going on for 5 years, 2 years, 1 year? And after that time, has there been an evaluation tool, a mechanism to show that this has been really good for those areas? And that's a real challenge, because not recently, but a few years ago, I visited Los Angeles, and they have an issue.
Challenge. Yes, and San Francisco does as well. And I think a lot of it will depend upon the location, how it's maintained, et cetera. And those are items that we have and will address with this board on what we anticipate on putting in place. But I do not have the tracking information. We will follow up with those cities to see. But we've had this discussion at the staff level that we will be tracking to see how this works, because again, we want to stabilize our seniors. We want to get them in a situation that they can move, not necessarily stay here forever, but they will be able to move to another affordable unit in maybe a bigger complex that will free these units up to move others into. But right now, we're looking at it being permanent until they're able to and want to move forward to another location. But we will follow back up with the board with answers on the tracking of those particular and do a little more research on others.
Thank you. And the last thing, Dr. Green, or actually the entire team, when you talk about wraparound services, you kind of discuss it in an abstract. We'll provide wraparound services that will, create safeguards for the community, but it will be probably, for me, it will actually be more effective if not only if we discuss those wraparound services, if there was a listing of what is provided, not in abstract, but in concrete, so that we would know that this is what's necessary and this is what we'll be providing, as well as what it's going to cost, right? Wraparound services don't just happen for free or out of the thin air. I don't want to speak for the entire board. I would like to know what that looks like, what the cost is, so it helps me and the rest of us evaluate, what we're proposing to complete in terms of this project.
Okay. Yeah, so just to answer your question, I'm going to start with the first question about effectiveness. One of the things that we hope to do is to prevent the number of seniors who are unhoused from going up. And so we know how many seniors are currently that we counted during the annual point in time count. And so our hope is that number will continue to decrease and not increase. And so preventing them from entering into homelessness is really important. With respect to the wraparound supports, the case management, and that is very broad because people have different needs. So we'll have a case manager on site or two on site. If there is a need for, some seniors encounter emotional things or things that happen when they're at the facility. And so we want to make sure that they are supported. If there's a need for employment or some additional income, we can try to navigate them to those things. Many seniors need documentation for various types of benefits that they may be eligible for. And so we can help them to gather that documentation. We can help them with food benefits, healthcare benefits, things of that nature. And then some of the other supports, we're hoping to leverage some of our system partners to provide. And that would be things like transportation and food or some of the laundry services. There's a laundry facility there. And so we would expect our seniors to go and to do their own laundry because we want them to manage their daily lifestyles. But if there's a need for additional support, then we'll work with our partners to try to work on that.
Thank you.
If I could add, the one on being document ready is one of the really important one of the really important aspects, the document readiness. Oftentimes, our seniors and even our veterans are not aware of what benefits are available to them. And so being able to work with organizations such as the Legal Aid Society to make sure that our seniors are aware and are availing themselves of all resources that are available to them will also make it where the amount that they can contribute to their own rent will increase. So that is a really important aspect of the supportive services.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before you go on, I have three more lights on. So Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, and I think you're about to answer a lot of these. I was looking ahead. I just wanted to clarify, when it says up to 30% of income for operations and up to 20% for services makes sense, because I guess that would depend on what services they may or may not need. The up to 30% of their income, does that mean it could be less, and what will determine that?
Well, 30% is what we would typically use. And so it could, the amounts could be slightly less, but 30% is the barometer that we're typically looking to use.
Okay.
So if they're on Social Security, they may be making $1,200, right? But we're only charging $300 per month for the rent. So they could actually pay $400, but what we're recommending is $300. So
if it would only be less if their income would actually be slightly above the minimum amount that we would need to have for operations?
yeah, so there may be some situations where they're not paying completely up to 30%, but it's maybe a bit closer to 30%.
So we have a number, and I think you're going to get to that. We have a number that would sort of be maybe the break-even goal for us to get to.
Yes.
And, whatever we can't get to, then that would be the subsidy for operations that we would be discussing.
Yeah.
And to clarify that, that's also part of the assessment when the,
Is your microphone on?
yep, it is on.
Pull it closer.
So it will be also part of the assessment when a senior or a veteran is coming in this program. And then we will be doing an annual assessment as well, because somebody who's coming in may be having a lot of hardship. So maybe they are having a hard time paying even up to 30%, so we will subsidize it. But after a year or 6 months, when we assess them, they may be able to pay more because we were able to get them document ready, able to get them more resources or more benefits coming in as an income.
Okay, and so just because I've received a number of questions on this too, this would not be free housing. People
No.
just show up and get to live
No.
here. It's may have to still be subsidized, but as this progresses and maybe we help them find other benefits they're eligible for, we could actually get to where this could be a break-even property. And they will be paying for themselves and
Yes.
able to support, walk. This isn't going to be a nursing home or that type of expense that we would have to shoulder.
Correct. And one of the question Commissioner asked, what's the difference between a homeless shelter and this? In our homeless shelters, people who are coming in, they do not pay anything, right? And it is a very short stay. They do not have a lease. In this property, they will be paying depending upon their income, their current income, and there will be a lease component with it. So just like any tenant, they will have a lease, which they have to go through, like all the components and following through.
Okay, and then lastly, just with the services, it may be a bit early to ask this, but are there other groups, nonprofits, who would be partnering with us on some of this so that we're not shouldering the entire supportive services part of
Yes.
this, especially because there's veterans groups, there's a lot of things happening in the county. They will be a part of this as well?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs,
Do this.
you had your light on, now it's off. Okay, questions answered. All right, let's keep going.
Okay. All right, thank you. So like we talked about it, 30% of the income will be used for operations in this project. And then up to 20% could be assessed, if applicable, for additional supportive services. So that is the part of the assessment and intake when a senior is going to be in this property. The property could be qualified as a project funded through HUD. This will be our goal, to find additional federal and state funding for the ongoing operations. To answer Commissioner Sachs' question previously, we did apply for a BUILD grant, which is $7.5 million request to the federal government. We have not received the allocation yet. We are hoping that we receive it. The funding could be used up to 30% for operations and can be split for 5 years in renovations or acquisition, or 30% operations. We will be using minimum of 15 WASH vouchers. That's a reimbursement mechanism for us to get some revenue for this program. We will be applying for tenant-based vouchers after a year or two when the client is stable, the resident is stable, and move them to a different housing where they can support it through the housing authority vouchers. We will be applying for additional state support. I'm sure you see a lot of items from community services and a lot of walkthroughs and emergency items. We are constantly applying for new grants to support some of these initiatives. And then we will be working with our partners, especially Homeless Coalition, so that they can raise funds for the project.
Commissioner Powell, yes or no?
Yes. Tenant-based vouchers, those appear to be very difficult to come by. And if individuals are now living, and you indicated that, one, I want to make sure we're clear that this could be qualified for HUD, that this would not in any case become a project-based development in terms of Section 8, where there's project-based and there's tenant-based. And if this was qualified for HUD and you try to allow it to be maybe project-based, then that would mean individuals coming into the facility would all have a housing voucher, or right?
Yeah, and we did discuss project-based vouchers with the housing authority. It wasn't really a viable option, so that's why we didn't put it there. But if there's someone that has a tenant-based voucher and needs to move in, or if they qualify, or if there's the opportunity, if they're on the list and they're able to get it and move into a different place, then that might be an option. So I don't know if that answered your question, but
it touches on my question. That's a question that needs to be fleshed out more comprehensively when you start talking about housing choice vouchers. Whether it be project-based or tenant-based, because I know there's a tremendously long wait list. And if someone is to qualify and now they're living here, the challenge is now being able to remove them. So I'll continue to listen, but I think that is something that would help me process it better if that were fleshed out just a little bit more. Thank you.
And I would venture to guess that these are goals. So when we are doing our hard costs right now, those are not included in our hard costs. Is that correct?
The tenant-based vouchers are not included in our cost.
The VASH vouchers are.
VASH vouchers are.
But any grants or anything like that are not.
There is $627,000 included in the grant. We have a state grant, but it is a reoccurring grant with the state. It's an annual appropriation, so we are hoping that we get it each year, but it's all projected.
Okay, so when you talk about the applied for build grant and you're awaiting response, the $7 million, that is not something,
No.
that's a wish.
yeah,
It's not included in there, but it's just that we have applied for it. We are hoping if we get it, then we can apply it towards the project.
So if in the future, if that comes, then it lessens the cost, the burden on us. But right now, it's not included in the burden. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Sachs.
I'd like to comment on my colleague Powell's, Commissioner Powell's, Section 8 housing. I grew up right alongside it in Detroit. What this is an experimental, transient housing. As spoken before about housing first, which I believe our administrator very aptly talked about. Housing first, and this is what I received from my research, housing first in California, Denver, Colorado, Minnesota, San Francisco, Vermont, this is for homeless. The housing first is for homeless. This is not homeless. This is a transient housing, not homeless. So all of the hotels that have, and motels that have been used for housing under the Housing First model, which is all around the country and the world, is not what we are talking about today. We are talking about transient, experimental. Because to my knowledge, it has never been done where we have used successfully, and I know years ago in the 50s and 60s, we had Section 8 housing. But it has never been used to my knowledge. Now, educate me. Has there been another place in the country where we have used converted motels or hotels into transient housing other than what we are wanting to do today with La Quinta?
First, I'd like to clarify, this is not transient housing. This is permanent supportive housing.
Okay, now, wait a minute. Permanent supportive housing. I love semantics, you know? Permanent so this could be a senior who is pushed out of his condo because he can't afford the assessment. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, he's living in a motel. No kitchen, no washer and dryer unless he goes to the basement or goes someplace and do his own. So this is a motel room that he or she is going to be living in. And they're going to stay there forever, right? Or are we going to work for them to be moving into his own or her own place?
The goal would be to work with them that if they want other housing at a later time, especially the younger of the seniors.
Of seniors, 55
right,
and older.
that
Actually,
they
the
would-
older I get, the younger it gets, right? So we're talking
Right.
not 65, we're talking 55, right? 55 and older could be, and they're going to be living in a motel room, in a motel room, a wash, that's it, right? Okay, and we're not calling it transient.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Administrator Baker. And to clarify, these rooms will be renovated to have a refrigerator and a microwave, so it would be similar to an efficiency apartment.
And most of the units already have those in there, so that does not require additional, they already have it.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, let's continue.
Alrighty, so this slides talks about the annual operational cost. So we have broken out with facilities and then also the staffing and the wraparound. So of our facilities, we are projecting the security because we are going to have 24/7 securities, 2 guards on site, and that will cost us $492,000. The maintenance services through the county, for example, the HVAC replacement or plumbing or electrical down the road is $150,000 yearly cost. The utilities are $240,000 per year. And then for the staffing and the wraparound services, the internet and cable for each unit is $136,000. Laundry, again, we have put it in some money, but there will be a laundry facility downstairs, which seniors and veterans can use it. But in case we need to provide the wraparound services, it's going to be $68,400. The waste, $136,000. There will be an on-site manager for daily and the daily maintenance custodian staff for $190,000. The day-to-day maintenance repairs for those units will be $200,000. We will be having 2 case management staff who will be working with the seniors on a daily basis, and that will cost us $150,000. The property management fee, because we will be contracting with the housing authority, will be $108,000. Food is another item. We are budgeting $200,000, but we will be working with a lot of our partners, especially our Division of Seniors and Veteran Services program, to set up a meal site there. However, the meal sites only cover 60 and older for the funding, and 55 to 60 we have to cover through ad valorem or through our nonprofit partners. We are projecting $350,000 for insurance, and then we have put it in for miscellaneous activities and transportation, $100,000. So the per unit cost for operations is close to $14,385, and then the facility related is $7,736 per unit. This slides talk about the revenue and the shortfall for this project. We already have a state DCF grant. That grants ends on June 30th, so we are expecting to get that as on an annual basis, and that's $627,900. The income from the tenants based on their Social Security income or based on their AMI, for 35 units, we are projecting at the rate of $300 per month, which will produce a revenue of $126,000. For $500 for 34 units will be close to $200,000. And then the ones who are on the higher side of the AMI, the 50% AMI, we are projecting $800 per month for these units. As I mentioned previously, we will be requesting the VASH vouchers, 15 VASH vouchers, and current reimbursement rate for the VASH vouchers with the support services is $1,500. So that gives us the revenue $1.5 million, and the expenses are close to $2.5. So we are on a shortfall of $997,000, which is close to $1 million for this project. So the cost to operate this facility is little over $22,000 annually for each unit. Like I mentioned, there's an approximate shortfall of $8,700 per unit. We are going to apply for additional VASH vouchers if we can. Then hopefully to get additional assessment fee or a support services dollars from the tenants itself for the support services. We are going to use our LAHEAP grant for the seniors who are eligible and apply for the utilities cost. Removing food and transportation and then fully leveraging the partners can reduce $200,000 in the cost. And then we will apply for additional state and federal grants to help with this project. And then we can also look at it as part of the assessment to increase the rent for the SSI instead of $300 to $400 during the course of after the 1 year or so. Do you want to go cover the?
Yeah, and so those are just some of the ways that we could potentially offset some of the shortfalls that we saw there. One of the things that we would look to do if the board decides that they want to move forward with this project is continue to engage with the residents in the area, particularly with Century Village. We would be open to having periodic meetings with them to discuss any concerns that they have on an ongoing basis, and certainly providing a list of contact persons for if they run into any issues, they could reach out to either myself or others that we designate within the department to have those concerns addressed as quickly as possible. This is an approach that's not new. It's something that we've done with other projects. So if the board feels that that might be appropriate, then certainly we can institute that. Okay. And that concludes our presentation. Open to any questions.
Actually, I do have a couple of questions. If this goes forward today, what time frame do we have for renovations, and what do we do with the building while we are renovating? Because we're not in the hotel business.
So, couple things. We do not have envisioned right now, other than the $1 million for security cameras and fire alarm improvements, other major renovation happening. So if this board were to move forward, we will proceed to closing. We set aside 4 or 5 days to go through that process and bring it to an actual deed of conveyance. We need to work with the franchise release process, which we will do concurrently, and we will handle permitting. So my expectation on the facility side is that it will be around 3 months or so to complete all paperwork. Sounds about right on property and real estate. And then James, can you chime in as to actual operations?
Yeah, so we have been doing the work internally to determine who would be eligible placements for these facilities. And so we'll continue to prepare so that we can minimize the amount of time that lapses once this facility comes online. And so I would anticipate, we should be ready to move people in relatively quickly. The furniture is already there, and that's really important. But sometimes they would need to make arrangements for, say, their furniture and other things. And so we would move relatively quickly.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to go back to the vetting, or more importantly, actually, the lease agreement. Have you seen any of these lease agreements?
I have seen models and templates of lease agreements, but if the board decides that they want to move forward, then we would enter into discussion with, say, the Housing Authority, and we would use their template and our template to combine them to meet the standards that we've laid out here in this proposal.
One of the issues that has come up in the past, not obviously we don't have an exact project like this, but in other types of these projects, is people, once somebody comes in, they then start to bring in other people. And that it has to be, and that's why I'm asking if you've seen the lease agreement that it specifically prohibits that kind of activity.
That is, yes.
And
yes.
that if somebody were to engage in that, they immediately lose their right to reside there.
Correct. So we have done recently cottage home placements, and we
Okay.
have a lease agreement with the tenants and the expectations that who will be residing on that premises. And that's why we have a case management staff going to be on the premises working with the tenants.
What
And
happens at the
then
cottage homes?
Then unfortunately, then they have to leave and then find alternate housing. We will not be keeping them because they have to go through the handbook and they have to be in acceptance of those terms and conditions, and failure of those will have them lose the tenancy of that property.
Okay. In looking at your numbers for your meals, in your numbers, you're looking at about $4.80, so roughly $5 a day per person. That doesn't seem realistic.
It's really our expectation that they will be able to manage their own meals, but
They don't have kitchens.
Well, I'm saying, but we will have some meal sites. We talked about having a meal site there where there would be breakfast and lunch, or it could be lunch or dinner. So they would have access to meals. But there are some other in-home meals, like Meals on Wheels and other options that we could leverage from our system partners to help address some of the meal costs that are outlined there.
But my understanding is, okay, I understand Meals on Wheels as a potential partner, but isn't there a cost with that too?
So we are planning to use our Division of Senior Services program for some of the meals programs. Some of these folks will be eligible for in-home deliveries of meals as well, and that's what we will be providing as a service, along with the meal site, which will provide a lunch and a dinner option to each
Is there a
senior.
dining room in there?
Yes.
Wouldn't it be better it seems like just better quality of life that people have congregate meals. And plus when people were taking, my concern would be, if you're having meals up in those rooms,
Yeah.
The cleanliness, the amount of concern over that. Have you guys,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
go ahead, no, that's all right.
Yeah, so the meal sites are like more in a congregate type setting, and so that's how they're configured. And so that is an option, that they would utilize the facility and a congregate meal setting to get their meals. But the in-home option is available, and there are going to be other ways that seniors could potentially get their meals. And we do anticipate that some of them will have like SNAPS benefits and other benefits, and if they don't, then we would work with them to help obtain them.
So would the SNAP benefit then cover the congregate meal?
The congregate meal is free.
The congregate meal site will be through the OA grant program, and it's so it's all run by the volunteers. So we are going to work with the residents to run the meal site, and then it is all through the Older American Act grant.
Okay.
All right, I see no more lights on. I know we have several cards. And what we'll do is we'll give everybody 3 minutes. However, you don't have to take all 3 minutes to say whether you like it or whether you don't. We've received everybody's emails. Commissioner Sachs mentioned that, but we all have received all of the emails for those of you that were in support and those of you that weren't in support. So if you can choose to do what they do up at the House and the Senate, you can wave in support or you can thumbs down against. So you don't have to take the 3 minutes, but we will give you the time. And Vice Mayor Baxter will be doing the timing, and Commissioner Woodward will be reading the cards.
Okay, the first 4 cards, we have Mr. Jeff Coons, Mara Plant, Mike Trotman, and Jean Berman.
I have some handouts for the commission if you could receive and file. Also, personal privilege, your rules, if somebody doesn't hear by the time of the workshop can't speak, but you have Dwight Chenette for the Agency for Aging, which is definitely your partner. I would suggest you ask him to come speak. I've got his card here. He's your partner. And also, Josh Maddock got here too late. Josh ran the program during the pandemic that had veterans in this hotel that caused no issues. So I think he would be advantageous to talk to, could answer a bunch of questions. I'll give those cards. My name is Jeff Coons. I was a county commissioner 2002 to 2010. My county commission district was very old and very poor. And I got very involved in senior issues. Palm Beach County in 2005 reflected where America was going to be in 2025. I chaired the county first year looking for places for people to live. And the woman who was the executive director of the VA hospital called me up when she heard about it and said, I want to serve on your committee. We had the VASH units you've been talking about. There were 177 at the time. Now there's over 700. The VA came down and looked at what we were doing here and took a look at that. I know each of the commissioners had a particular passion about some particular population. Commissioner Woodward's doing a good job on the vets. The vets were in there during the pandemic. I personally delivered food, okay? There were no particular issues. When we did establish the Lewis Center, we had a neighborhood group that came together to talk about what was going on. That disbanded after 3 years because nothing ever happened at the Lewis Center. That was a partnership between the city, the sheriff, and everybody else. Nothing ever happened at the Lewis Center that affected that neighborhood at all. I represented Century Village. We got a new library. We got a new fire station. We did all sorts of stuff in there. When their roof collapsed during the pandemic, during the hurricane, we waived the rules to rebuild the clubhouse out there. I was very proud to work with Century Village. This is going to be a positive thing for that neighborhood out there. The Found Care facility is a godsend to be right next door. The executive director is here too. I urge you to do this. The county commission is in the home finding business. You've got everything from abused women to veterans on one side, kids coming out of foster care. The housing crunch we're seeing is dramatic. You're having multi-generational families living together, particularly in Commissioner Flores' district. one of these days, the old people are going to be kicked out because the young kids need a place to live. So this is pretty strategic for you. Actually, if you're doing something like this, you're actually going to create more housing for more people in poor neighborhoods here. I urge you to do this. You are definitely in the housing business. We spend a lot of time on elderly, and we spend a lot of time on vets, and those would be the two agencies that would be pretty strategic. My congratulations for staff for bringing this forward. Thank you very much for your support.
Hold on a second. No, please, no clapping. You'll take away time from other people. No clapping. If you want to clap, just wave your hands. Silent clapping is good. Okay.
Happy hands.
Commissioner Sachs, your light is on. Did you have questions for
You are so cool.
Jeff Koons?
Right? You are so cool.
I was
And
55 20 years ago.
I'm telling you, I've known about this, and I agree that we need housing first for our homeless. And you have been a champion for that. I'll talk, and thank you for your time on the county commission. I saw you out there. I was going to say something, but sometimes I talk too much. But I did want to recognize, but you have doing amazing work for our homeless. And if we do nothing today on this, I guess you'll continue to work with our homeless population out there, because housing first and the conversion of hotels and motels for housing that's occurred all over the country, and I have all the statistics in the cities, is exactly what you and your people have been working on, and I appreciate it. And sometimes the location is a little iffy, but I support the work that you've done for our homeless, and I hope that you continue to work throughout the county.
Thank you. It's been a lot of work on veterans and seniors in particular. We really concentrated. By the way, the first 10-year plan called for us to build or buy 100 units a year, the first 10-year plan. Just think we would have had 1,700 units that we could have worked with. I think
It's a big county. We have a lot of, I don't know about this particular location, and I'll talk to you. If you stay, I'll let you know a little bit about, not the Supreme Court, but federal court, district court on veterans. But what you have done for senior homeless is wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
Ms. Plant?
Good morning. Good morning, Commission. Nice to see you. Okay, I'm Maura Plant. I am the founder and CEO of Living Hungry. And I just want to say that veterans are heroes to all Americans. We're going to start there. And we are safe because of the sacrifices that they've made for us. This is why when COVID was raging, the lockdowns were on, the West Palm Beach VA asked us to help our veterans to stay safe in La Quinta Hotel. And so they needed us to deliver meals so that they could stay in that hotel, right? And then they were able to get into permanent housing through case management, through stand down. So when I first got the call, I was told, oh my gosh, they're never gonna stay in this hotel more. We really need to give them great food. It needs to be excellent food. And I just looked at them and I said, what choice do we have? Let's go do it. So I started making my phone calls, every friend, charity, restaurant, chef, volunteer drivers, and we activated an army. We're talking about Howleys and Subculture and Salvation Army and Cross Ministries and Chef Christina, who was a veteran, and Nature's Corner and the Lord's Place Chef Robert and Buchan Provisions and Feed the Hungry, and I could go on and on and on. We all fed them with warm, delicious meals 5 days a week and healthy groceries on the weekend so that our veterans could stay safe at home in that La Quinta. And the weeks went on and the months went on and we kept feeding them and the months turned to years, and 3 years later, 300 veterans and their families were fed in 3 hotels. So at La Quinta, we met families with children. We got donated books from the Literacy Coalition, uniforms and swimsuits from the Giving Closet Project, new sneakers, kids, school supplies, Christmas presents. We got new moms. We got them vitamin gummies, pack and plays, and even diapers from Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies. Our 94-year-old World War II veteran, he needed Ensure. Chocolate was his favorite. We did Little Joy pizza parties and barbecue food trucks for 4th of July. In all, 199 veterans and their families lived at La Quinta, after being priced out of paradise. With nowhere to go, they came into La Quinta, got back on their feet, and went into permanent housing. And guess where 25% of them went? 1 out of 4 went to Century Village. So this model exists. You're already doing it. You've been in the business of doing this. La Quinta has already been up and running to house senior veterans, and it's operated all these years. And the Century Village residents had no idea. They felt safe, and they will again, because La Quinta apartments with low-income seniors will be filled with our beloved veterans and our healthy seniors. We also have $1.7 million in receipts from La Quinta to prove it, okay? So I want you to vote yes on La Quinta. Our seniors, our elderly, our veterans need a safe place to live. With 114 units, that's 114 tiny little homes are in your hands today. Commissioners, vote yes. Say in your heart, okay, let's do it. And we will all help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Maura. Okay, who's next?
We have 2 microphones too, if you'd like. Oh.
Sir. Oh,
My name is Mike Trotman. I want to thank you for your time today, to hear everybody here.
could you talk into the microphone, please? I know we're having microphone issues today, but this way we can hear you. Thank you.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Got it.
Good. First of all, I would like to thank everybody for giving us the time to speak. And also the presentation, I had a lot of information, but also had a lot of fluff, and I recognize that. But also, it went through the conversations, they were talked about how they're going to govern the influx of people with security in the sheriff's department, which is great, but there's still going to be a bleed over in the community of Century Village, which is going to be a safety concern for its residents. Also, keep in mind, I don't believe the people at La Quinta are managing their property. I want to thank you for getting the engineer's report we talked about last time. There was some friends stayed at their facility, and just to give you a heads up, their shower overflowed into the living space. Their air conditioning didn't work, and they were told, well, we don't have anybody on staff in management to help you. So it took them 24 hours to get it rectified. So that tells me they're not maintaining their facility. So you could be into more renovations. Also, keep in mind, the total amount you said was going to be a cost of $180,000 per unit. Those units are only 370 square feet. What anybody on this commissioner or in this room pay $180,000 for a 370 square foot facility. They're Belgrade to Pahokie's, that looks nice. But next to Century Village is a bad idea. So with that, I want to thank you. Yes, there needs to be an issue resolved for the homeless, but this isn't it. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. No clapping.
Good morning. My name is Jean Berman, and I live in Century Village in Northampton Inn, and I wanted to speak against the La Quinta project, not just because I live in Century Village, but because there was, in looking at your reports, there is another option that might be a better choice, which is the Ramada 88 Palms, which is a 162-room facility, and it has function space, event space, as well as rooms, which means if you have a partner agency working with you, they could have space to present, having like maybe somebody from the VA come and talk. They could do movie nights. They could do, people talk about congregate meal sites. You could have something like that set up in there because they have, I looked on their website, and they have several different function rooms, and some of them you can put together. You can get over 2,000 square feet of meeting space. You could put all 162 people plus in that room and make presentations to them. There are also smaller rooms that could be used for conferences or that your partner agencies could use for office space. And all in all, and plus that, it's a newer building. It's in much better shape. I mean, I haven't been inside of it, but I mean, they have weddings and stuff there. So, I mean, it's not as run down as La Quinta. And I did talk to a neighbor of mine who is a veteran, and she told me that she was one of those folks who had stayed at La Quinta. And she said the place itself wasn't bad, but you stepped out the door and there were drugs and prostitution and all kinds of other nefarious things going on. And this is not really what you want to have in a place for your veterans and your seniors. And of course, people say, well, gee, the cops can come and clear them out. Yeah, they clear them out one day and they're back the next. That's really the problem. And so I believe that having look more into the Ramada rather than La Quinta, because I think it would be something that would be more favorable by your partner agencies. I mean, certainly that would also be, kind of a carrot. You could say to them, hey, we give you some space here. You can work out of this location. And I believe it would be easier to handle. It also has more amenities. They have a fitness room, they do have a pool, and they have a lot of other things. And they also, in the report, it didn't mention anything about having to pay off anybody's debt, which I think is a wonderful thing. Thank you. So if you want a good choice, when you don't have to Squinta, say yes to Ramada and no to La Quinta.
Okay. We have Luis Perez, Grace Mannion, Marvin Fajtag, and Fausto Fabro. We have 2 microphones you can use. Thank you.
I've been living in Century Village for 19 years.
Your name, sir?
My name is Luis Perez. I'm a retired certified public accountant. And I understand that this facility is going to be used permanently. At least that's the goal. Being in the financial area for many years, the only thing that I did not see here from the presentation is what other alternative have they looked at. You're going to be spending, like the other gentleman says, $180,000 for a 370 square feet room for our seniors and our veterans. I am in favor of doing what we need to do for our veterans. We're all here living in these great countries of ours. But paying $180,000 for 370 square feet, I think it's a little bit exceeding. Have you looked at, for example, if you go down from 45th Street near Military, and you will see there's plenty of lots there. Have anybody done any studies about building a location and giving our seniors and our veterans, not just living on 370 square feet? I mean, a hotel room is used for temporary. Most people are there in and out, unless you're on your honeymoon, that you spend more time in a room. Can you expect someone who has, a lot of those individuals, unfortunately, have mental issues, have been with drugs, put them into a room with a microwave oven and a bathroom, no kitchen, no separate room, not a bedrooms? How about a couple when they have companies? They're going to be sitting in the bed with a couple of chairs? Just look at yourself living in that room. What are you doing to these people? Are you giving them a better life? Now, also on the presentation with the cost, last time when this gentleman was at Century Village, he mentioned they plan to collect rent. Some of these people have not paid rent in years. They're living in the streets. How can you even estimate you're going to collect $500 a month? From where? Come on, let's be realistic. And like the other person says, the security and everything that you're saying are going to be there temporarily. Once the years go by, all these individuals have friends. Unfortunately, some of those friends are not the right people to have. And they're going to get into those buildings. They have ways. I mean, I lived in Brooklyn, New York, in projects. And you can see what happens when you live in the projects. I got out of it because of education. And I worked my way up. I mean, you gotta be realistic. The people that are moving there, a few of them have had hard lives. Others have mental issues, and it's not gonna work. It's gonna be detrimental to Century Village. We're also seniors, and we work hard for what we have. I think you can find another location that is not right next to our compound.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Please state your name.
Thank you for giving us the time. Fausto Fabro, resident of Century Village for 25 years, current president of UCO, representing 7,854 units in your district. The majority of Century Village is not opposed to what you want to do, and there is definitely a need for people that are veterans or homeless, and we're playing semantics because the words homeless, temporary housing, senior living, is all great. It's all wonderful. But it's coming at a tremendous, tremendous expense I mean, we're playing with numbers. $180,000 per unit. I can spend $5,000 a month for 360 days in a hotel room per unit, times that 114. And that's without an expense. And that's what you're starting off with. You're starting off, you could put literally 114 people at $5,000 a month, 360 months in a hotel room. And that's what you're starting off with. That's what you're asking to spend without, really, I think you'll find that the people here are not opposed to it. I think there's a better way of helping the individuals. Definitely, this is the wrong location. And listening to some of the people that facilities that this particular unit has, the hotel, is very limited to what it's going to offer to the people. And asking someone, again, to live like in less than 400 square feet, I don't know if any of you have RVs, but if you travel in an RV, you're not going to be living in very much more than 300 square feet. And you're asking people. The other thing that, as if you're going to be a senior, you're going to have family. And my understanding from what Dr. Green said, you're not going to be allowed to visit your grandchildren. They're not going to be able to come in because they're not allowed to be there. Tell a grandparent you can't see your grandchild. Go see him in the parking lot. And I really, really think you've really turn this down and make this more viable in a different location. Thank you for your time.
Commissioner Weiss, your light is on.
Yeah, thank you. Can you clarify, would grandchildren be able to visit?
Visiting isn't what would be limited. I think the question that came up before was having additional individuals start living in the units, and that's what would be limited. But visitation would not be something that would be limited.
Vice Mayor Baxter.
Thank you, Mayor. Would we be limiting these units to only veterans and senior citizens?
Yes, 55 and older.
And then how will we know how many of those are veterans?
That will be through the part of assessment and intake.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Grace Mannion, and I live in Century Village for 21 years, and it's always been a wonderful place to live. But if you go outside where La Quinta is, in the evening you'll see drug addicts, prostitutes, all kinds of crime. And I want to know, will you be taking residents from the behavioral hospitals? No? Well, I don't think it's a good idea to spend that much money for the La Quinta. It's not that great a place, even with all your renovations. So I vote no. And I would appreciate if the rest of the board did too. Thank you for your time.
Sir?
Hi, my name's Marvin Fairtag. I live in Century Village, and I've been there for 25 years. And I've seen the place start to deteriorate over the last few years, and one of the big reasons for that are visitors, or so-called visitors, that are coming into the facility, often called in by residents. And most of the criminal activity that takes place there, as I understand it, Mr. Fabro probably has more detail on that, comes from people that are cutting through the fence or being called in and doing all kinds of things. And the Sheriff's Department's well aware of some of that. But prior to that, what I heard today, especially from Commissioner Powell, I believe, wanted some meat on the bones. And a lot of the presentation is, we hope to, we're planning to use this term, was sort of abstract. And I don't think that a lot of the questions that were asked have been answered to that effect. We'll get back to you, we'll give you information on that. If you're planning to make a decision, I think you need all the information, and that was what I heard from some of the other commissioners. And one of the things that's lacking is a look at other alternatives, and specifically in reference to the Ramada Hotel that offers at least some and more of what you're looking for permanent housing. A lot of semantics about permanent, sustainable housing, it's transient housing. What is it? Basically, they're not homeless, you're saying, but they might have been homeless a day before and moved into a transient place and then going there. So you don't know what that population is. The screening mechanisms, I don't know that that's been defined very clearly. What's a criminal history, and is it violent, is it long-term, how do you decide, and so on. There's so many factors that go into all those criteria. From an engineering standpoint, buildings 3 floors and higher have to have the engineering report. I'm not familiar if you've had that or not. I know we had problems with a golf course where they were worried about environmental issues before. They said, "I will take care of that after the decision." Then they found out that it was contaminated. And the place 12 years later, at least, or maybe more, since that decision was made, is still derelict land. I know it's going to be built and so on, but it's been an eyesore for so long because they didn't dot all their I's, cross all their T's at the time. And I'm imploring you to do that. And before you make a decision, you really have to look at that. I think that you received many hundreds of emails and so on, and whether you want to discuss that or not, but I would tend to believe that the vast majority of those were counter to the facility being erected. It's the right idea. We support veterans and seniors having that kind of housing. It's not realistic in that facility.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Ty Barnes, Jennifer Sellers, Patricia Caputo, and Christopher Irizarry.
Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Patricia Caputo, and I'm a resident of Century Village. Again, I agree with most of the people. I'm not opposed to helping homeless. I've done it myself. I belong to a lot of organizations. I fed a lot of hungry people. It's extremely important where you place the people. I've been listening to all of you. The staff didn't do their homework. You really didn't have any figures. You'll get funds from here, you'll get funds from there. You don't know if you can get all those funds. A lot of things have been passed. We know funds is not so readily available. Paying for a place that is so much more money than it's worth is inane. There are so many places around, and the Ramada is available, and it probably would cost a lot less money. No, we don't want it on our property. We don't. I'm not looking for trouble. I'm 81 years old. Whatever years I have left, I'm going to continue to help people, but I think you're going about it the wrong way. I really do. You didn't really have amounts. You did ask questions, commissioners, and you didn't get the answers of how much money is really available. We'd like to know that because we're the taxpayers, and we're getting raised in Century Village a lot of money because of what happened in Surfside with the insurance, and also Phase 1 and 2, which, by the way, does the hotel have to abide by that? You know, Phase 1 and 2 that has come out since the fall of the property? If it has, you need to get an engineer to look over the property, tell you what it needs. I think it's going to cost a lot more money than $20 million. I think, my opinion, please shop around. There are other places, and I think we should place the veterans because they've been overlooked for years. It's a shame. But I used to have a lot of money. I have none. But I'm happy to tell you that I helped a lot of people. So we at Century Village, we're not evil people. We're not against helping people. We just feel like we're the dumping grounds. They want to put La Quinta, you say homeless people, then you say it's senior citizens, then you say something else. You're not even sure who you're putting in there. So please be fair to us at Century Village. We're elderly, and we are a little fearful. You know, they were going to put a druggery here at the end of the property. That's not fair. There are other communities. Are they doing this in Boca or Delray or anywhere else? Or is it just Century Village because it's in West Palm Beach? Thank you for listening to me. God bless all of you.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Jennifer Sellers. I am here today on behalf of the Homeless and Housing Alliance. And I want to emphasize the urgent need for your support in the county's acquisition of the La Quinta Inn as permanent housing for our homeless seniors and veterans. Your leadership And this initiative is a critical step towards addressing the housing crisis in our community. We know from past numbers of our point-in-time count that senior and family homelessness is on the rise. But I want to draw your attention to another critical measure, the United Way's United for ALICE numbers. The ALICE threshold, which stands for asset limited, income constrained, and employed, represents households that are working hard yet struggle to cover their basic needs. These individuals and families often live paycheck to paycheck and are just one crisis or one illness away from homelessness. In Florida, a state with over 8.8 million households, 46% fall below that ALICE threshold, and 13% live below the federal poverty line. Here in Palm Beach County, the numbers are even more concerning, with 47% of households at risk, again, just one step away from losing their homes. 12% are already below federal poverty line. With the passage of Florida House Bill 1365 and the Supreme Court ruling of Grants Pass versus Johnson, we have both the responsibility and the opportunity to act. We must do everything that in our power to protect our most vulnerable neighbors and ensure that no senior or veteran is left without shelter. The Homeless and Housing Alliance strongly supports the purchase of the La Quinta Inn for permanent housing. This is not just a policy decision, it is a moral imperative. Thank you for your leadership and your commitment to building a stronger and more compassionate community. Thank you.
And who's next, please? Sir?
Hi, good morning. I'm Ty Barnes. I was a couple of folks behind on the list, but I wanted to say good morning to you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners, and start by thanking you for the work that you do in our communities. I also wanted to thank the community service team for the work that you do, that it's also very critical. I'm Ty Barnes, the Chief Strategy Officer for 211. 211 is the only helpline and crisis hotline in this region, serving the region 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So we have an extensive network in the area and a strong connectivity to our residents. As part of our mission, we often provide education and information in the community, and at times like this, when there's sensitive nature, around the decisions that you currently face, it seems like an appropriate time to just share some objective data and a little bit of the context behind it. Last year, 211 received over 20,000 requests for help regionally from our seniors. In addition to that, we provided over 1,000 seniors with in-depth services through our Elder Crisis Outreach and Sunshine telephone call programs. Through these communications, we hear that seniors and veterans are struggling financially. And while there are a variety of factors, a key factor is cost of living increases, mainly driven by escalating housing costs. The effects of rising housing costs upon these vulnerable populations with static income have significant impacts. Also, out of our requests, last year, over 100,000 requests for help from residents that identified themselves as Palm Beach County residents, and that's not specific just to the senior population. Of those people that identified as residents of Palm Beach County, housing was expressed as their top need. Again, we appreciate your contributions, and we're always a call, a text, or an online chat away, 24 hours a day. Please let 211 let us know how we may continue to help you in your service.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board of Commissioners. My name is Christopher Rosari. I'm the Chief Executive Officer at Found Care. We are a federally qualified health center here serving Palm Beach County. We actually have a location at 5867 Okeechobee Boulevard, which is directly next door to La Quinta. And I can tell you, there is a housing crisis, as we all know. We're not going to talk about that all morning again. But what I can tell you is that we are in full support of this project. We are also willing to participate and support any of the healthcare needs of the folks that are living adjacent to us. We definitely would love to see an improvement to that La Quinta property. Of course, there have been issues that I think all of us understand transpire on a property like La Quinta. And anything that could be supportive, where the county is supporting the folks that are living there, is welcomed. You know, I myself, my mom lives in Century Village, not at this location, at a different location, and had it not been for my brother and I being able to support her, I'm not sure if she would have made it. You know, over the last few years, we've seen the cost escalate for her, for the, you know, for all, at Century Village, the cost has escalated and escalated. And I can tell you quite frankly that had it not been for him and I, there's no way that my mom would be able to afford living there. So I think it's really critical, but I also think it's admirable what this county does day in and day out to help people in the community. You're an amazing county and an amazing board, so thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Commissioner, oh, I'm sorry. Could you come back a second? Commissioner Sachs has some questions.
So you run what kind of a facility do you run next to La Quinta?
So it's a federally qualified health center, Commissioner. We provide healthcare services to people with and without insurance. And we do adult medicine, pediatrics, psychiatry, behavioral health. We also have dentistry now. We have a dental mobile van.
Drug treatment program? Sir, do you have drug treatments there?
We do substance use disorder, but we do that through our psychiatry and behavioral health, but we're not.
I'm sorry.
I'm
You're talking way too fast.
I'll
for
slow
me.
down.
So let's slow down. Okay. You do substance abuse for those without insurance.
Correct, but that's
Good.
not.
Okay, that's it.
That's not
thank you. And
predominantly
it's
what we do.
federally funded,
Correct.
right? Okay, good. About how many people go through your doors for help with substance abuse?
Sure. Very little. Mostly, the healthcare district of Palm Beach County does a lot more and has done a great job.
Are you funded by the healthcare district?
No, we are.
No, you're funded by the
partially,
federal.
Right.
Okay.
Partially, yes.
Okay, and it's for substance abuse. It's right there next to, how long have you been there, sir?
So,
Your
Commissioner,
facility?
just to clarify, what we predominantly do is primary healthcare services. So
I
that's,
understand that. I understand and completely. I've been there. I know it. So are you close to La Quinta Hotel, the one we're talking?
one of our sites is next door.
Thank you so much. No further questions.
You're very welcome.
Commissioner Powell, your light is on.
Madam Mayor, while Mr. Azari is standing up there, just to be clear, Found Care is not necessarily established for substance abuse, is it?
No, it is. No, it is not, Mr. Commissioner, no.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify that. And I know you have several locations. I know the location on Okeechobee is one of the newer locations that's been constructed, but you have locations in several other areas of Palm Beach County, am I correct?
That's correct, Mr. Commissioner. We actually have 8 sites throughout Palm Beach County, and predominantly what we offer is primary healthcare services. And just to put it in perspective for the board, in 2014, we managed 1,716 unique clients from this particular zip code, of which 38% were served at this site at 5867 Okeechobee Boulevard. And last year, we managed 29,000 unique patients, and predominantly it's pediatrics, adult medicine, women's health services, prenatal, postpartum care. That's predominantly what we do, dentistry. So we do behavioral health, but mostly it's therapy, not so much substance use disorder. That is growing a little bit throughout our system, but we're not the experts in that. The healthcare district of Palm Beach County has done a really good job of investing in that space.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Vice Mayor Baxter.
Hi, Vice Mayor.
Hi, good morning. So, still morning. I wanted to know, so we heard some residents' concerns that these residents are kind of hanging out where the current La Quinta is. Do you feel that any of those are your patients that are hanging out before or after their treatments?
No, our patients usually get brought into the center. There's plenty of waiting area. So they're brought upstairs. Most of the services we provide, Vice Mayor, on the 2nd floor. So they're brought upstairs. There's a waiting area, and that's where they are.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, we have 5 more cards. Josie Maddock, Jamie Kendall, Angela Grant, Dwight Jeanette, and Takesha Miles.
Hi, I'm Josh Maddock. I am the Director of Programs at Stand Down, an initiative of Faith, Hope, Love, Charity. We work with veterans in need, primarily homeless veterans. We also work with prevention. As it was mentioned earlier, we've worked sort of at random. We basically turned the La Quinta into an emergency shelter in the summer of 2020. We kind of ran that for about 2.5 years. We had 75 to 80 rooms at a time. We had a lot of seniors, but we also had big families. We had young folks. You know, when we got there, the reputation for the hotel was there was a human trafficking incident and some things like that. You know, it's just an odd location over by the turnpike. But, you know, looking at what we did and what the county is looking to do, what the staff is talking about, it's remarkably different because, you know, we had no full-time staff there. We had nobody on site. We were relying on the hotel for everything. I think that the model that the staff is presenting would eliminate almost all of the issues that we had while we were working there because of the full-time security, because of the full-time staff, dedicated staff. We not only didn't have full-time staff, we didn't even have like daily staff. We were there 2-3 times a week. Morris people gave us updates, you know, because they were delivering the food every day. But, you know, I just think that, you know, the location, I understand, you know, the residents' concerns, but I think that the location has always been a bit of an issue, and this would be as safe as it could be for the residents of Century Village. It just, you know, that place has always drawn a negative element, and I think if there were full-time security, real presence there, a lot of agencies working, and full-time case management, that it could run really successfully. It's obvious we really, really need affordable housing. We have, you know, we work with the veterans. We're working with more and more senior veterans every day because, you know, it's impossible to maintain housing in Palm Beach County on a fixed income. I mean, it's just gotten to that point. So I'm strongly in favor of this and appreciate your time, commissioners, mayor, vice mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And, oh, I'm sorry, come back, please. Commissioner Sachs has questions for you.
Thank you so much for what you do.
Thanks, Maria.
State your name again.
Josh Maddock.
And you work for, and you're the head, or you work with Stand Down, sir?
Yes.
And that's primarily Vietnam vets, I would imagine.
Oh, no. We have veterans. Our clients right now range from 22 into the early 90s.
Stand Down basically means take it easy, like.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of the vets come back with PTSD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mental health issues, other things. Yeah.
Are there, and I'm especially appreciative. My dad was a World War II veteran. I've done everything I can for our veterans, and I was in Southeast Asia during the Tet Offensive in 68, 69. So I know. What's happening, what will happen to those veterans today if this passes?
Well, it definitely gives veterans, senior veterans that we work with, it gives a housing option that could be affordable for them and that could be amenable to them. We have a lot of folks who are living in shared housing, different situations like that. They may prefer single room occupancy. But I just think that we're facing a crisis with our senior veterans, and that every resource that we can bring to the table is going to help.
So we wouldn't kick them out or anything, would we? The veterans who are there today, I want to make sure they're taken care of.
The veterans who are where?
Who are at the La Quinta today?
Is
Are there no more there?
Oh, no.
Where'd they go? What happened to our homeless veterans?
Well, we ramped that up during COVID. We were making sure we got everybody into a hotel room. We were using La Quinta. We were using 2 or 3 other hotels. We now primarily use the other hotels. They're closer to the VA. But the La Quinta was very useful. The transportation was good in the area because of Century Village being there. There was a lot of good transportation. But I mean, we housed those veterans that were there. I mean, I think at an 85 to 90% rate. So they're they're no longer in need of the hotel.
Where did you go? Where did you take our veterans who were
we
suffering?
housed a considerable number of the senior veterans we housed in Century Village. As was mentioned, I think somebody had a neighbor who.
So you housed them in Century Village.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Flores, your light is also on.
Yeah, so as a fellow veteran, I wanted to clarify the record. Not all veterans have PTSD. So I just want to clarify that. Second of all, a lot of my fellow veterans that do have PTSD are high-functioning members of society who can hold jobs and can still continue to function and are no threat to our society, whether it's behavioral or aggressiveness. So I just want to clarify the record. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
I could.
Commissioner Sachs.
Thanks. My dad had PTSD after World War II. I was going through our papers. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. After World War II, in 1946, when he was discharged with PTSD. And when a man or a woman goes through combat, it's tough. And that's why, and of course, went on to have 5 kids and have good jobs. So it's tough. Combat is tough. And I appreciate anybody, especially my colleague, who has been through combat in a war setting. And thank you for what you do for our veterans. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Yes, and just a comment, my mom has PTSD. She was a 12-year-old, 11, 10, 9, 8-year-old in Italy during the war and listened to bombs drop every day. She has PTSD. So it is not just our veterans, but it's also those folks that had to experience a war. And you don't need to say anything else,
It's okay. It's okay, because my mom was in Naples, Italy during the invasion. So maybe our mothers were together, because she was 8, 9 years old. So who knows? We didn't call it PTSD with my mom, because she would, we just said, yes, Mama. No, Mama.
So
Thank you for that, Mayor. Thank you very much.
The observation is that we are here to help. We're here trying to find a solution for our seniors and our senior veterans. And we're trying to do the best we can and with the resources that we have. Sir.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Dwight Chenette, and I'm the CEO of the Area Agency on Aging of Palm Beach and the Treasure Coast. I'm speaking today in support of additional projects which would support our seniors with supportive housing. The Area Agency on Aging supports seniors, adults with disabilities, caregivers, and families with information and referral and access to certain state and federally funded programs, including long-term care under the Medicaid program. We are a funder of the county. We work in collaboration with the county Division of Senior and Veteran Services. They are one of our lead agency providers. How we collaborate with them is we provide a source of funding for programs administered, including cost-effective home and community-based services that help frail seniors to remain in-home and avoid costly nursing home stays. As I mentioned, we have responsibility for information referral. So we operate a call center similar to 211, specifically for seniors. And what we've seen over the last few years is a very high elevation of the number of seniors that are calling. It's on our top 5 list of seniors that need assistance with certain housing issues. And we certainly refer them to a number of community agencies. I believe you're going to hear from the Legal Aid Society this morning. And they're one of our resources and contracted providers that assist our seniors with housing issues. But again, I just wanted to speak in support of any initiatives that we can do that provide supportive housing to our seniors. It's a growing problem, and if we're not addressing it, we're going to just have the problem escalate further. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Miss.
Am I in the right place?
Go right ahead.
My name is Angela Grant. I'm a resident of Lake Clark Shores. I've been in Palm Beach County for some time. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else, although a lot of that time was overseas. My heart is with older Americans. Of course, I'm in that group now. Pretty much, I think all of us, not all, but many of us in this room are in that group. My mother passed away not long ago at the age of 101 and a half. My dad had passed on a couple of years before in his late 80s. He was a World War II veteran. My son is a retired Air Force colonel. He was in Afghanistan, Iraq, you name it. My daughter did a career in the Navy. She is now working for the Navy as a civilian. So you can see how concerned I am about providing the best we can for these people. Without family and the small incomes they had, my parents would not have been able to remain in their home. Because education is very important in my family, my children have done well. There is no perfect approach to the problems that we are trying to solve. I have learned in this world, in this life, there is no such thing as perfection. But this is a good plan. And if there are ways that I can help once the project gets going and there are people there, I'd be glad to volunteer. There are people in my church who volunteer for all kinds of purposes. We'd be glad to do that. Churches might even want to donate various amounts for different purposes. So what I would like to conclude is to say that I hope you will approve this project, get it started, and then get to work on the next one. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Takesha Miles, and I am the supervising attorney of the Elder Law and Fair Housing Projects at Legal Aid Society of Palm Beach County. And I'm here in support of the acquisition of the La Quinta Inn. As a service provider who provides representation to individuals facing eviction, it is a quick process. And with clients who may only have SSI, who only receive $967 a month, it is hard to find suitable, affordable housing in our community. My staff has tried. With the 30 days, 45 days on the eviction process, it's hard to find individuals with suitable housing. Excuse me. It used to be that I could send them to Century Village to rent an apartment. And now with the rising costs of housing in our community, that is not possible. Last year, we served 328 seniors over 60 with evictions, okay? That's 328 people who were facing homelessness that we were trying to assist with that. And so there is a great need in our community to find those services and provide housing. The second I want to point out is that there are opportunities for us to serve and partner with community services to help. We have a veterans advocacy project along with our elder law project that could assist with making clients document ready, making sure they have access to their Social Security card, access to their birth certificate, and apply for it if they've lost it, so that they can be benefit ready, and so that we can help them see if there are additional benefits from the VA that they may be eligible for. Maybe they were dishonorably discharged at one point due to some sort of conduct issue that maybe our veteran staff attorneys can try to make them honorably discharged and upgrade their status so they can get more benefits from the VA. With those benefits checks, and whether making sure that we can get them increased SNAP benefits, helping them make sure they're eligible for different health benefits to help reduce their costs. Those are the services that our team at Legal Aid could assist them with. And so we want to support community services in this project and really encourage the commission to think about all those seniors who are facing homelessness and how we could provide them with a place to live that would be within their income. And so the HUD standard is that you're not supposed to spend more than 30% of your income on housing costs. And so if a person's getting SSI and it's $967, it's a $2,025 limit for that, where can they live where they're only spending 30% of their income? And so thank you so much for your time.
Hello, good morning. Thank you, County Commissioners and County staff, for presenting the project today that you're talking about.
Please
and
state
I'm
your name
here.
for
My
the
name is
record.
Jamie Kendall. I'm the CEO for the Palm Beach County Food Bank, and I'm here today to talk about the 28%. The 28% of our seniors and our senior veterans who struggle with food insecurity right here in Palm Beach County. Palm Beach County, often synonymous with luxury and leisure, harbors a hidden crisis, and that's senior hunger. While the region boasts affluence, a significant portion of its elderly population struggle daily to access adequate nutrition. The stark reality paints a complex picture of our community demanding urgent attention. Senior food insecurity in Palm Beach County stems from consequences of many factors: fixed incomes, rising healthcare costs, increasing housing costs, and unexpected financial burdens force many of our seniors to make impossible choices. Often this means sacrificing nutritious meals to afford essentials, medications, housing. Isolation and limited mobility further exacerbation of the issue, hindering access to grocery stores and food assistance programs. At the food bank, we offer many different programs to battle senior hunger and hunger in our community as a whole. A few years ago, we played a role in putting together a senior grocery distribution program. We saw the problem was growing, and we added additional programs. Today, we serve over 1,000+ individuals with home delivered and home delivered meals boxes with produce, other food items like protein. And we also work with our community centers. One of our county commissioners a few years ago talked about some of the seniors at the community centers and their need for extra produce, especially going into the weekends when they were getting the meals, the congregate feeding meals. So we looked for funding and found that funding and put together a program where we are now serving on a monthly basis 3 of our senior centers right here in the community with those boxes of produce and other non-perishable foods for over the weekend. The project that you're talking about today would serve a great need in our community. We field the phone calls. We get the phone calls from the seniors all the time at the food bank about how much they're struggling in our community. I can assure you that the Palm Beach County Food Bank stands behind this program, and on our end, we will do whatever we need to do to help the county staff, and more than ever, to help our senior citizens and our veterans who are in need of food assistance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is that our last card?
That was our last speaking card. We had 10 non-speaking and 13 submitted online that I'll give to the clerk.
Thank you very much. All right, this is the part of the discussion where the board has questions of each other and the discussion. Commissioner Flores, your light is on. I do want to say that we will finish this topic. Once we are done with this agenda item, we will take a 45-minute lunch break, and then we will resume the workshop part of our meeting after that. So, Commissioner Flores.
All right, so I have tons of questions. I'm torn on this project, but here I go. First of all, I requested from staff yesterday the budget of how much we are allocating to homeless resources yesterday. And basically between 2019 to today, we've gone from $18 million to today being around $40 million, just a little under that. Now, I must clarify, the majority of the money is coming from grants and other fundings that are being received, whether it's from the federal government or the state HUD or other entities throughout the state. However, if you look at budget year 2025, ad valorem is about $15 million, which means that our fellow taxpayers are carrying some of the burden here. So that's something that I have to wrestle with when making these type of decisions. So moving on to this particular project, my question to staff is, we're overpaying $1 million on the appraisal value, and then we're paying 1.7 for franchising fee. Mm-hmm. Why are we carrying the cost of the franchising fee? Why is it that it's the county's burden to pay that fee?
The seller indicated that he is not the seller's representative, not willing to pay for the franchising fee. We came to this board, I want to say, back in November last year, shared that information with the board, notified where the seller stood, notified what were the conditions of the franchise fee. We were asked to do additional research, which we did. We communicated directly, not through the seller, with corporate of La Quinta. They indicated that the franchise fee was non-negotiable. The seller was not willing to pay for the franchise fee. We came back to this board and shared that information with the board and asked if we were to continue to move forward or not. That was the decision at the time. And when we presented to the board directed us to do the three things we covered at the beginning. Continue to negotiate, knowing that there will be a payment for a franchise fee. Make sure you meet with the community. Make sure you do a condition assessment. And once you have everything together along with a conceptual strategy, come back.
How was La Quinta in? How did it come about? Was it that they advertised that they were selling? Did they approach us, or did we approach them?
They were on the market. The staff, we have a responsibility to, based on prior board direction, look for opportunities. There was a direction received from the board back in 21, 22, and my colleagues from Community Services can correct me, that this was one of those tools that was to be issued to address.
I understand the tools.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to understand is, did we approach them or did they approach us?
It was on the market.
So they put it on the market.
They put it on the
wanted
market.
to sell.
Yeah.
So they must have known when they put this on the market that there was a franchise fee that they had a.
They did.
Right. So now they're trying to negotiate that piece with us.
Well, when the property was on the market, it was on the market for general sale. It was not on the market for a county use. So nothing could have precluded at the time the property being sold to another potential buyer for hotel.
I understand that piece. I think everybody in this board understands that piece. My question is, when it was advertised and they were asking for $15 million, my question is, at that time, was that also notated that we or whoever purchased had to offset that fee, that 1.7 million?
Okay. Commissioner, is this on? Okay. What we're paying for is a franchise release fee.
Correct.
So if a potential other buyer were to purchase the property and continue to operate it as an La Quinta, there would be no franchise release fee.
But we're not
would
doing
need to
that.
But we're not doing that. So this is specific to us because we are not going to
'Cause we're
continue to
changing the
operate
use.
as a La Quinta, yes.
Got it. Okay. So, talking about the building. The building was built in 1988. If we go to the fourth slide where we had the Sung and Associates, they did an appraisal, review, as an assessment. Yeah, there we go. Two more. Forward. It was a Sung and Associates.
7.
There we go. No, right there, perfect. When you state no fatal conditions were identified, I mean, that to me, as I read it, is like, this building is not gonna fall apart tomorrow, but you use the word fatal. I mean, what are give me a true assessment of what the conditions of this building are. Because you're asking me for another $2.8 million in refurbishing, getting this back up to par. But what's the time frame of this building, the lifeline? When are we gonna have to reinvest again in this building? Are we talking about another 10 years, another 20, 30, 40? I'm trying to, as an investor, right? Because I think that's how we're looking at this. We're about to purchase a piece of property. Am I buying a clunker or am I buying a gem that just needs a little wax? So I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out here.
You're buying a 30-plus-year-old building. It was built in 1988. the condition assessment was mentioned before. I have some
37-year-old, correct?
supporting slides in the back. Can you help me? Thank you. Might be faster. Can you go to slide 37? Go to what? 37. Which might facilitate. These are supporting slides as needed, but we included basically the summary of the condition assessment. It's a 350-page document that covers every single space within that building. You have the 2.8 broken down per trade. And then if we walk through the different components, we look the engineering firm, look at architectural conditions, and documented in each one of those rooms what needs to be addressed. They did the same with photos, fully documented as to where we are and what are the conditions. Same logic for structural components. Is there something that will prevent the use, that will make the building unsafe for habitation? And one by one, they put together an analysis showcasing where we stand. So to answer the question directly, Commissioner, no fatal conditions means that there are no conditions identified at this point that will prevent the use as proposed. Do we have a 37-year-old building? Yes, we do, which means there are building components that will enter into what we call in the county a renewal replacement schedule. We have AC units that need to be replaced. We will have some that will need to be replaced 3, 4, 5 years out. And that's part of what we do on the facilities component. If this board decides to acquire, we put it on a schedule and we start replacement as we will do with any other building. But the assessment, which was not done by staff was there, staff accompanied the design firm, cover every single system within that building, and although some repairs were identified worth $2.8 million in different areas, nothing fatal, nothing that is fully non-operational that will pose a threat to safety or security was identified. That's the scope of the condition assessment.
So you're saying we're going to need ACs in the next 5 years. What other costs are we realistically looking at over the next 10 years, let's say?
So that's basically the summary per architectural and just per each one of the trades. When we talked about architectural, we're looking about ceiling, painting, tiles, what you can see, the finishes, right? When we're looking at structural, there are some minor repairs that were identified, and we have about worth $40,000 of those. In mechanical, you have your plumbing, your HVAC systems that were considered along with electrical. So, Commissioner, at this point, matters that needed to be approached or addressed in the next few years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, is around $2.8 million. And that's why we carve out separately the $1 million for security cameras, for fire alarm systems that connect to what we do at the facilities level for county, which is not necessarily what a hotel will do. We have different standards. We carved those out because we wanted to convey the message. If you want to bring it up to speed with us, here's $1 million that we will need. And then the 2.8 is something that we will plan as we do R&R for other facilities.
So you're telling me that the $2.8 million would probably be the cost of the next 10 years, so that's included in there?
I said 5-year planning, not
5 years?
10, but yes.
So purchase price, franchising fees, cost, closing costs, renovation, upgrades, we're talking $20.6 million. All right, so let me test your knowledge here. The Homeless Resource Center, I think it's number 2, located in Lake Worth. How much did that cost us for 77 beds?
Well, on my memory here, I want to say it was close to $20 million, but if you give me an opportunity, I can actually pull the number. I want to say 17. Bear with me for a second, Commissioner, if you don't mind. If you
that's fine.
will give me a second, I don't want to say the incorrect number.
So, while we're talking, I'm going to voice some opinions. I don't like the 6-month residency requirement. I think it should be longer. It's very easy for somebody to move into the county for 6 months, live in their car, and so I don't want to do that. I want to help the people that have been invested in this community that felt in hardship. So those are the people that I want to. What that number is, I don't know if it's 12 months, 24 months, but I really want to help the residents of Palm Beach County. So if this project moves forward, I think that 6 month should be changed, and I'll let you guys come up with, but at the bare minimum, it should be 12 months. I'm looking for more. I want longstanding community members that we're gonna help. Since this is a senior and veterans, they're gonna be required to do a background check in order to come in to make sure that there is no criminal history.
Yes.
That is something that's gonna be part of the
Correct.
entrance requirement, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'm waiting for the answer. Are we
Yeah,
there?
found the number. So close to $18 million combined between different types of funding and fully inclusive of design and everything else that goes into putting together a project.
So a new building that has 77 beds, and those are beds, those are not rooms, those are not independent living, cost us around $18 million. When was that?
We opened for operations 2024.
So it was build 23? Would we project that dollar today would be more than $20 million in today's dollars?
Today's dollars continue to increase, and that is very unfortunate.
I'm going to ask you a hard question here, Isami.
Yes.
If we were going to build something like this today, how much would it cost us? 114 units.
$300,000.
Are we talking over 30, over 40, close to 40?
Another quick calculation.
Projections.
right?
Just give me
Just
some rough
projection,
numbers here.
Just want to do a quick math, if you don't mind with me. I will argue it will be over 30
Over 30.
million. Yes.
Okay. So if we went out, we purchased land, and we did all the new construction, we would be paying probably over $10 million more.
That is not an estimate, full estimate.
talking
but
rough draft. Rough draft here.
Commissioner, without doubts, I don't think we can replicate this under current standards, conditions, market conditions for $20 million. We'll gladly put together an estimate, but based on similar construction we're seeing for other county projects, which are not residential, my expectation is that it will be more than $20 million, plus the land which we do not have available right now. So we will need to find where to site it, we will need to design it, and then build it, which will be a process that could take easily, assuming we have the land readily available, 3 to 4 years.
Okay. ARPA dollars and surtax dollars. How much do we currently have combined right now?
13.7 under IST. The question.
IST is a surtax.
Surtax money under the Q001 that I shared before. The ARPA funds that we have included in the agenda item are coming from reserves. The totality of the significant higher amount because it's allocated to multiple projects under ARPA.
So we currently have the funding available
We do.
to purchase the capital for this project.
We do.
My biggest concern when I'm looking at this is the revolving capital that is going to be required. And we're talking about, what, $3 million almost? You're saying that we are going to be able to recoup some of these dollars from the 30% that we're going to charge for housing, which is $500 in $300, $500, $800 roughly. Your projections have us at a shortfall of almost $1 million. I'm assuming that's coming from ad valorem, most likely?
We will continue to look for grants, but if we can't find anything.
Madam Mayor, may I answer?
Sure.
As we know, grants are looking, we're not sure they're going to stay the way that we've received them in the past. So it would come from ad valorem unless we're able to find other funding sources. And we're constantly looking at funding sources.
Okay. I'm going to get into the weeds, and I apologize. All right, so we're saying this is going to be a 55-plus community.
Yes.
We're saying this is going to serve seniors, veterans. We're saying that this is for them to be able to have independent living, correct? Okay. One of the things that I would like to see is a kitchenette, maybe some stovetops so that they're able to cook something very minimal. I don't know what that looks like, but I think that's something that we should explore moving forward if this project does proceed.
That's what it looks like.
Perfect. By the way, what she just showed me is a fridge with a stove top on top. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands.
And a sink.
And a sink. I lost my train. Okay, so going back to this. So we're having seniors. We're going to put them through a background check. These are people with not a criminal record, but yet we're putting 2 security guards 24/7 on seniors who don't have a criminal history. And when I see $400 or $500,000 cost just in security, I wonder if we really need that security for 24/7.
Let me.
So to me, that's a number, and I'm just gonna go through my list real quick. That's a number that I'm a little iffy about, because once again, we're talking about seniors without a criminal history. These are individuals who maybe fell in rough times. Maybe their income don't quite, match today's rent place. So to me, the security aspect of this, it's a little high. I don't know if government should play the role of paying for internet and cable. I firmly believe in giving somebody a place to live and maybe having common areas that do have internet and cable that they can share. But I don't know if we should be providing that for every single person. Keep in mind, these individuals do make an income, right? So they're going to be paying 30%. They should have some, and by the way, our internet providers do provide a senior rate for these individuals. Transportation is another line item here that I don't quite understand, because we do have PalmTran. And PalmTran, I believe for seniors, you call them up, they actually come right to your resident, and they pick you up and take you to wherever you need. So I want to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts. My last point with this recurring annual operational cost is I don't know if the county should be doing that, or if we should partner with a nonprofit who can provide these wraparound services, and perhaps they can provide it better. So I think this is something that perhaps we can explore. Put out a request for proposals and see if there's a nonprofit that can provide this wraparound services at a more affordable pricing point than what we're looking at. So I'm just providing another option. Because I think the nut that I'm trying to crack in my head is that $1 million reoccurring. So how can we decrease that so that we're not placing that toll on ad valorem? So I will wrap up with this. Today, I'm going to be fully supportive of this project. I believe our seniors and our veterans are struggling. I think they're being priced out. And everything that you have said to me, this is not going to be a behavioral health. This is not going to be for individuals that have issues. These are not individuals that have addiction problems. These are individuals that are hit a rough patch in life. And And many of us hit that rough patch in life at some point of our life. It's unfortunate that for some of these individuals, maybe they lost their significant other. I think we also have to realize in American culture, the female stayed at home for a long time. And the man was the one that provided. That is no longer the case. But a lot of these seniors are dependent on the Social Security that they receive from their significant other because they never earned the credits that they needed to be able to participate. So the only way that they receive Social Security is through that spouse. The pricing in Palm Beach County continues to rise. It's a challenge that we have all faced, that we've all talked about up here. Our veterans, I'm a big advocate of veterans, so we should be providing them a place to live. Now, with that being said, I want to be clear. I don't know how many more of these projects we can do because there is a taxpayer component to this that the rest of the taxpayers have to pay for some of these programs. So I want to be clear that when we look at La Ramada Inn, I don't know how many more of these we can do. And I want to be clear about that. But this particular project here today, I'm okay with. And there were some comments that were made by some of the speakers, and they were saying that today there are people hanging out, drug dealers or prostitutes or whatever it may be. If that's the case, we're doing you a favor because we're going to remove that element from that property by bringing in seniors who are going to be contributing. They're going to be paying rent. Now, do we want that element happening there? Absolutely not. And what I want to make a commitment to you guys is that we are going to be good neighbors and we're going to maintain that property and that we are going to make sure that it is better than it is today. And by the dollars, you can see that there is a commitment from the community. So if you currently have an issue at La Quinta, we're going to be solving that for you. I know that you might not be happy, but unfortunately, La Quinta is where it is, and it's a project that's coming before us to make that decision. I love when we all say, I love the project, I want to help seniors, I want to help veterans, as long as it's not in my backyard. But at some point, we have to look out after our seniors and after our veterans. So thank you.
Vice Mayor Baxter.
Thank you, Mayor. I know everyone's getting hungry, so forgive me, I have quite a few questions. You had mentioned during the presentation that a prior board had given direction to look for opportunities to solve what exactly?
And James, you can chime in, but basically to do hotel conversions.
Yeah, so there are a couple of ways that they so the first homeless plan was included that as a project, and then the housing plan for all, one of the strategies in that housing plan for all that was brought before the board and the board endorsed. It was a part of the strategy there as well. And then, of course, leading the way home.
And it was specifically to look for this sort of supportive housing?
It was more about converting hotels into housing.
Into specifically housing? I mean, do I have to put, or was it for the homeless? Was it for the supportive housing? What type of housing?
I'll have to get the details, but it was for permanent housing, if I recall correctly. And that's the thing that we need the most is the permanent housing.
And were there any limits set on that as far as financial limits, millions, percentages?
No.
And when these numbers were offered, I mean, when it was presented initially, I don't remember hearing about, and we hear a lot of information about the franchise fee initially, but I would like to say, I mean, I don't want to make it a regular practice of going well over the cost of what an appraised value is. So how much are we currently over the percentage of appraised value?
Our appraised value, purchase price, 7.7. That does not include the franchise fee. We don't.
7.7%?
7.7%. My apologies about that.
And if we were to include the franchise fee?
7 divided by. %. I'm rounding.
19%. And don't we have a county ordinance that says that we can't exceed a certain percentage?
You can, always. PRC, Property Review Committee, gets to provide you a recommendation if you go over 10% for any acquisition over or under, but that's why I highlighted that it was a franchise fee, not a purchase price tied back to the property. Property Review Committee deals directly with the value of the property, and in this case, it's $50 million compared to the roughly $14 million appraised value.
Going forward, I would like to see us include all fees into that percentage of purchase price before coming to us if we're going to consider them. But I won't get into the weeds on that today because that's another day, another policy. Okay.
Understood.
Longevity. This building's 30 years old to a tune of $20 million. And you said roughly, and I know you can't give exact estimates, if we were to do this at a brand new location for $30 million, I mean, how long can this 30-year-old building last?
May I go back to the estimate for a second,
Sure.
if I may? While my colleagues were speaking, I actually got the opportunity to go back to HRC2, and if I were to do a very rough estimate and use the square footage of this building, we will end up at about $36 million, not inclusive of the land, and I think that is the component. Going back to your question, it is an existing building. It has 37 years of life. It is in good shape, no fatal conditions. If I were to do a projection, we will have the ability to keep using the building for another 20, 30 years before a major renovation might be needed or some building systems. So it is an existing building, Vice Mayor. I cannot represent it any other way. It is an existing building, and the other hotel that was mentioned is obviously also existing and was actually built before this one.
So to Commissioner Flores' point, it's more of a clunker?
That's not what we have on the condition assessment. It is a 37-year-old building with the need to invest about $2.8 million in capital improvements over the next few years, and in good condition, no fatal flaws identified, to use the words I used before.
And no other properties have been identified that would also fit this need. And I ask this because I do love our veterans and our senior citizens, and I am wondering, is there something better suited for them?
So, to answer, if I may, Vice Mayor, last week the county administrator requested authorization for staff to engage in conversations with the owner of the Ramada Hotel. So that is currently ongoing. So one option that we have moved and done some very early due diligence, we do not have a condition assessment for that hotel. So at this point, I cannot tell you.
Do we have a year built?
1974.
So we're still looking.
Older.
Right.
Yes. I think by definition, the other part that I wanted to share with that is that we as staff have received, I'm going to say a handful, about 5 or 6 outreach from different owners that have other hotels available that they want to make them available to the county. And as staff, we have stated we will need direction from the board, right? We don't want to go after every single opportunity, and that's why when this one became available, we came to the board and requested permission to proceed. We did the same with Ramada.
How many approximately homeless veterans do we currently have?
Give me 1 second. I believe the point in time count numbers, which haven't officially been released, was around 100, but we have about 121 homeless veterans that are on our list, our by name list.
And how many units are in this
100
hotel again?
114.
114, right?
I just want to provide clarity in terms of these units. We would want to house the veterans that are in, say, transitional housing. So they were homeless, now they're stabilized in housing, and then move them into a more permanent setting. So they wouldn't be homeless per se on the streets or unsheltered on the streets, but they would be in housing, but it's just transitional.
That they are currently, or are you saying that this is what it would?
I'm saying that we would only focus, so that whole number, the 121 that I gave you, that includes people who are on the streets, unsheltered. And so they wouldn't
And how many are
necessarily
currently in transitional?
I'll have to get that number for you.
Do we have approximates?
We have the number of people who are in transitional housing in general, seniors and
But not how
veterans,
many of those are veterans?
Yeah, we don't have it broken out.
The reason I'm asking is because I do agree with Commissioner Flores that I would like to see the residency requirements. I'd like to see them at least 12 months with valid IDs. So we can say you've been on record with a valid ID for at least 12 months in this county. I would like that. One of the other things that I would like to see, and I want to make sure that it's feasible before I ask, is that we dedicate half of these units to veterans. Not just say, oh, we'll find out one day how many are veterans. If this is going to proceed forward, I want dedicated half, at least, to our veterans. But I don't know if that number is required. I'm sure Commissioner Weiss will let me know how that falls. And this is his district, so I do try to listen to what the district commissioners have to say. I am just very hesitant on these dollars. And there are a lot of problems in the county. There's a lot of costs have gone up. Costs of everything we know have gone up. So we can't buy ourselves out of these problems, out of homelessness, out of housing, out of any of it. And at what point we have to stop placing all these burdens on taxpayers left and right. And we come to us, the board, and we get to decide on an individual basis what we want that to be. And are we asking ourselves, are we taking it in a homeless person? Or are we saying, oh yeah, let's just keep spending taxpayer dollars, but the people paying the taxes are also suffering. So these are never easy decisions to make. And we just keep placing it on them. So I hesitate. I didn't like this project, and I think Commissioner Woodward and I were probably the two most vocal last time this came to the board about not liking certain things about this project. I don't know that my mind has changed, but there are certain things that if this is going to go forward, I would like to see put into place. And a great idea was partnering with some of our nonprofits to potentially take on some of this burden. I do know this is not a homeless shelter. I do know this is not for homeless people. But this housing, should it go forward, would create a space to prevent them from being homeless. So I don't think it would be unreasonable to ask those in partnership with this sort of project if this is to proceed forward. I would like to hear from my fellow commissioners on where they would like this to go before I decide 100% one way or the other. But I think that's it. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. I'd like to commend Jeff Green. You've done such an amazing job with our homeless. I want to embarrass you. But when I see just driving off of I-95 to Okeechobee to here, I count the homeless. And when I see someone who is particularly upsetting, like a woman with a child, which I have before and called you take care of them. Feel a lot of compassion. This is a great idea, folks. Wrong location. It's a great idea. Who doesn't want to help seniors? Who doesn't want to help veterans? We all do. There's plenty of places that we can do that that's not necessarily next to one of our oldest senior communities in this county. And that is the fact. We are the largest geographic county in the state. We got to pick this particular location. It's already being wonderfully used by former Commissioner Jeff Koons. And I think that's wonderful, and he should continue to do that. But with whatever he's doing with that, that's a private citizen, that's good. Great idea, wrong location. And very, very, shall I say, misplaced. This is what we're doing. We're using an idea that's excellent. It's called home key. I've got all the statistics from all the states. California is the largest. There's Vermont, Oregon, Washington, and it talks about hotels to housing initiative. It's for the homeless. It's for the homeless. Federal money for the homeless to convert hotels and motels to housing for the homeless. This is not what we're doing. This is not what we're doing here. We're not doing this for the homeless. Great idea, wrong location. So let's not use this idea of or Project Turnkey, Oregon statewide, Vermont, concert, all these states are using this. We can't use this policy because that's not what we're doing. We're not doing this for the homeless. We're not doing it. So this is an experiment right next to where thousands of people want to live the rest of their lives in peace. An experiment. I don't like experiments. And I would not want them for my mom and dad or grandma or grandpa. So it's misplaced. Now, our veterans, there is not a Supreme, I always want to say Supreme Court, it's not. It's a U.S. District Court case, I'm sure our attorney knows about it, Powers versus McDonough, which places the responsibility on the Department of Veteran Affairs to house homeless veterans, especially those who have been through combat, on the premises of the VA hospital. And I have been in touch with the VA in Washington because we have acreage right here at our VA hospital. I was there 7 years with my dad. They have property there. That is where our homeless veterans should go and probably will go. This case is going before the United States Supreme Court in April of 2025. That's next month. This is what we need to look at to take care of our veterans, not a 325 square foot motel room with a hot plate on top of a small refrigerator. Our veterans deserve better than this. And how about our taxpayers? We have money for housing. We did it last week. We do it every week. Listen to us. And I asked the head of our Housing and Economic Development Commission here, fiscal year 2024 expense summary as of March 5th, 2025. We have available $11,612 for housing. We don't need to ask our taxpayers. We don't need to get this from us. We've got this money from the federal government, and it's sitting in our coffers of the county. And it should come from our federal government. And it has, and we have it. That's where the money should come for whatever we do with housing. And this is housing. Now, so Maria, they may say, Maria, what are you going to do? This is a great idea. We could put our veterans in here. We could put our seniors. Yes, there is a better idea. There is a better idea. And it's an idea that says housing first. So instead of putting a senior a senior in an experiment in a motel room of about 325 square foot, put him in a little house, put him in a tiny house with a kitchen, not a hot plate, but a kitchen and his own bathroom and a little desk that's up to 800 square feet, that's going all over the country, these tiny houses. And it doesn't have to be next to a Century Village or any of our senior places. It can be on industrial land, in transit corridors, and this county knows it, and this staff has been to those locations. And it's on raw land, and you know what the cost is, ladies and gentlemen? I'm talking to everybody now, because I don't like to see homeless women and kids in the streets. I don't like to know that 4,000 of our school children are sleeping on other people's couches or sleeping in cars in this county. You know, the cost of a tiny house, including the land, is up to $50,000 per unit with their own little house, their key, a bedroom, and a real kitchen. And not next to Century Village. Great idea, folks, wrong location. So we got work to do, and that's okay, because that's what we do here in the county. Take care of our people. That's what government does. That's what government does. I've been in government a long time. That's what I do. These staff work very hard. They're going to work a little bit in a different direction. Taking care of seniors, taking care of veterans, yes. Knowing that in April of 2025, we're going to have that Supreme Court case that says, you ever see this VA here in West Palm? See all the land around it? That's where they're going to build the housing for our veterans, and they should. The VA should take care of our veterans, okay? You don't put them in a motel room. You see the picture of this, you walk out and there's walkways there. That's not what we do for our veterans, and that's not what we should do for our seniors. We can do better. We will do better. And I know we can, because we have the opportunity of all these other states. We're not the only one with homeless. We're not the only ones who have folks living in transitional housing. So let's learn from them. Let's not get stuck on this La Quinta. So you know where I stand on this. I don't have to tell you. But I think that great idea, wrong location, and that's all I got to say. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you, Mayor. This was a tough one. I agree with Commissioner Baxter. Both of us were pretty strongly not happy when this came forward, and with the La Quinta release that we had to do, really pushed hard to try to do something about that. Understand that that is part of the contract with this. Also, the bigger part, when this was first brought to us, we were a little ambiguous on who would be staying here. You know, the term homeless hotel became what this was. And that is not what you've presented to us today. That's not what this would be moving forward. I do agree with the 12-month residency that was brought up on here, because this definitely needs to be for our Palm Beach County residents. And it was a concern that we had before. If we start building, again, we were talking homeless hotels, our neighbors to the south or other areas might start busing people here. And you know, if we're going to do this, we need to do it for our residents. And that's a good way of making sure that we keep it for Palm Beach County. And part of the application / assessment process, making sure that, you know, there's a criminal background check, you know, mental health evaluations. I know that it's a discussion that we've had on different parts where we're not allowed to, you know, even discuss drug testing or substance abuse issues, alcohol or anything, because of federal requirements, but this would not fall under those guidelines. So we are able to actually put those requirements into place where people cannot, you know, be using drugs on the premises. That's something that, you know, we can put those parameters into place, and if people violate those, you know, there's consequences. If we're working with the Sheriff's Department, there's a lot of things that you put into place. I'm very happy to see that was not a part of the original conversation when this came to us, and we asked you to bring us back something better, and I think you really have. And to answer some of the concerns about the size of these units, you know, I've spent a lot of time thinking on this, and, you know, when it comes down to the types of residents, the 55 plus, the veterans that we would be helping. These are people who are facing losing their current living situation and moving to the streets or living in their car. And this is an alternative that we can provide them. I don't even see how there's a discussion with that, because living outside in the elements, living in your car, not being able to lock the door and have a safe place that you can call your own, or maybe you go to a shelter and, you know, the shelters are what they are. We do the best that we can, but, you know, you're not in a private space. You're not in your own space. And these are people who do have income, so they are going to be paying an amount of rent that they can't afford. So there's a sense of ownership that comes with this, a sense of I am putting my money into this, which was not the case with, you know, what we had discussed before. So again, this has dramatically shifted. And if we're talking having security, I do think, at least initially, I think we need to have the security there, because if the criminal elements that currently exist are there now, they're not just going to pack up and go away without us having a real presence that we put there and making sure that any of that stuff doesn't happen. Maybe that can back off over time once, you know, the area has a lot of positive and that goes away. Maybe we can back that off, but I don't think it's wise to not have that initially, have the camera system, have the security. And again, you know, if this does work, I mean, we're talking about potentially building a smaller community of people who are going to live in the same building and become neighbors. They're self-sufficient. They're able to, you know, they're not needing medical assistance or any of that. And you know, this could be something really good. And yes, perhaps it is an experiment, but in this case, with what you're putting into place and who we would be looking to move into here, and all of the parameters that we put around it, I think it's a very good one, and that we should do it. Because if this is preventing homelessness, people who, their next option may be homeless shelter or living on the street, I want them to have a safe place. It may not be, you know, fancy and fabulous, but it's safe, it's out of the elements, and I am changing from my previous discussion with this to support the project. And so with that, I mean, there's a couple more lights on, but I would go ahead and make the motion to approve this with, and hopefully you've taken copious notes on what we've talked about with the 12 months and, you know, any of the other agreements. And if there's questions on the direction on that, I would like to move this.
Thank you. We have more discussion. Thank you. Commissioner Powell?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll tell you where I start. One, I want to thank staff for diligently working on this project. This process is not easy. Madam Administrator, that indicated the question I had was, has this been done anywhere else? I want to thank you all as a board for really taking this into consideration. And everyone who in the audience who spoke, your feelings and your words are valid. Whether you're in favor or opposed, I validate everything that you've said. As an elected official, a former state representative, former senator, current county commissioner, I can vouch for what Attorney Takesha Miles said when she stood before the podium. I have personally taken phone calls in my office where senior citizens who've had cancer, senior citizens who have had kidney failure, have been facing eviction. And I've called Attorney Miles at Legal Aid thinking, hey, I'm elected. If I call, maybe it will help somebody get a little bit more attention. And sometimes it doesn't happen, and sometimes it does, but so many people are in dire straits. And I know we're under the auspices of bananas. In planner speak, that means build absolutely nothing, anywhere, near anything. And we can't continue to do that. I've listened to the suggestions. There are better places to put this. Do we want to try to move it to the ag reserve where we've restricted development? We've said we're one of the largest counties. I've heard the suggestions as to other places where we can locate this. I've heard people suggest land near Military Trail and 45th Street. That, by the way, the county doesn't own, and sometimes that land is already purchased for other developments. If you look at the number of projects that are coming online, other times a developer or a landowner has a different idea that they want to move forward with. We cannot do nothing. It's a real challenge because my staff, if I answer phone calls myself, I can't even begin to tell you the number of calls that my staff have taken. When you listen to an adult, male or female on the other end of the phone, crying, real tears, because they have nowhere to go. They're about to face eviction because their month outlasted their money. I don't know how many people here are on Social Security, and that is your only source of income. But Dr. James Green indicated earlier that an efficiency in Palm Beach County is $1,550. Social Security for most people is not $1,500. A one-bedroom is $1,700, and I think $1,775 or $1,750. So we don't even get to a one-bedroom. Who is not in the chamber today? The people who can't afford to be here, those who are the working poor, who are trying to work to make things happen. By the way, some of these retail outlets that we frequent, that we shop at, you know, the 50,000 square foot box stores that have everything, the catch-alls, they're not paying people these living wages that will allow them to pay the $1,750 or the $1,550. It's not happening. So we as a county have an opportunity to attempt to do something. I agree with Commissioner Flores with regard to the residency requirement. With 114 units, we don't want to start the idea of people thinking they can bus people into Palm Beach County because we've got these basically efficient hotel rooms available. For the dual occupancy rooms, my understanding is at least one of the beds will be removed to make it a little bit more spacious. But I will tell you that 350 square feet or 375 square feet is a lot more comfortable than living inside of a car. We have a challenge. I can appreciate those who spoke in favor because usually when an issue like this comes before the commission, there's more people who are speaking against. Similarly with a different color shirt, whether it's red, green, or blue, very coordinated. But today, there was almost almost an equal number of speakers who spoke in favor and against. We have a challenge. And for those who've got other answers for us in terms of purchasing land, tell us where it's at. That's available. I individually, but we as a board, I think, are open to exploring options. And if you can tell us how we can decrease construction costs, we are open to that as well. But for now, we don't have the opportunity to do absolutely nothing. So I understand bananas, but how do we move forward? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Powell. Commissioner Weiss?
Thank you, Mayor. So let me get started. I have a number of thoughts about this. I've been, obviously, because of the location outside the gates of Century Village in District 2, it's caused, or I want to say caused, but it's taken my time, making sure that the community was involved and engaged. So I want to first off thank the residents of Century Village for allowing the county to come in and staff make presentations and inform you about it. I want to thank staff. I know I've sent you guys out on a number of missions and concerns that I shared with you as we've been going through this process. This has been really difficult for me because not only are the people in Century Village my constituents and they voted for me to represent them, but they're also, a lot of them are my friends, people I've known for a long, long time. And when they raised concerns about security, and that's primarily the issue that the folks in Century Village have been concerned about, is their safety. I take it very seriously and very much to heart. So, a couple of things I've done. Honestly, I've been praying on this because this is a difficult decision for me. And in thinking about it, so some of you may know, I was very close to somebody who used to live in Century Village, a gentleman by the name of Sam Oser, World War II veteran. He passed away a couple years ago. In fact, a few days ago, he would have turned 99. And I thought to myself, Sam and I used to talk a lot about things going on at the county. He was very engaged. But I asked myself, what would Sam have said? What he would have thought about this? He would have wanted to make sure we took care of people. That was always his driving ambition. And that's what he would have told me. You got to take care of people. You can't let people fall onto the streets. But I still have concerns, and I think we can manage them, though. I agree. I have no problem with the residency requirement, and thank you, Commissioner Flores. That's a fine recommendation. I'd like to see if any changes into the future were ever to come forward or want to be made, that it requires supermajority of this board to approve them. We have to be able to tell the folks in Century Village that this is what it's going to be, this is who is going to be housed there, and we have to make it, if it's going to change, it's got to come back in front of this board, and they're going to have a voice on that. I agree with the idea of having and I thank you, staff, for bringing up the monthly meetings. That's very important. I think, as you've talked about, though, in other projects, we haven't had to, they disband after a short time. I think in this case, with this population, that we're targeting even hopefully quicker. I reached out to PBSO, to the Sheriff's Office, in regards to security. They will provide CEPTED. They'll come out and do a survey, not only surveying this property for securing itself, but also looking at the perimeter to secure the safety of Century Village. I'd like to make it a condition that what this report comes up with, that we are going to implement to keep both the residents secure that are living there and the folks, our neighbors, secure as well. I understand your concern about the cost of security guards, Commissioner Flores, but I agree with Commissioner Woodward. I would not take it away yet. Maybe in the future, it may not be needed, but I'm not willing to go there today. I think it's important we be able to look to our residents and be able to tell them that we're going to be doing everything to ensure their security. I have concerns about the costs. I disagree with not providing internet and cable. I think it's important. I think it's important for people to be connected. I don't want people to feel isolated, and the relative cost is relatively small. And then the issue of the size of these rooms. So you all may not know, but I spent 4 years in 350 square feet. So I lived on a boat. It's small, but it was comfortable. We had everything we needed, but most of all, we had security. We had a roof over our heads. Sometimes it would move, but it was secure for us. We had a place of safety. I just can't imagine. I can't imagine being in the twilight of my life. And oh, by the way, I am a senior now. But being in the twilight of your life, your spouse passes, you had 2 incomes, and now you're on 1. So not only do you lose the person who you shared your life with, but you lose your home, and there's nothing really available, and you're on your own. My mother's alive. I'm going to go see her in 2 weeks. She's going to turn 90 years old. She's able to take care of herself, but God forbid if she couldn't. I couldn't stomach that. I couldn't stand for that. So I think it's important that we have an alternative. And I believe that a number of folks, well, they'll get stable, they'll figure out what their next move is, but it's going to provide that breathing space for them. So if it takes them 4 or 5 months or 6 months or 9 months to be able to find a place that they actually can afford on their income, but when you're in the process of losing your home and you have very little time to react, at least there'll be somewhat of a backstop and a safety net for them. And I want to also let the folks in Century Village know, I'm not going anywhere at least for another 1.5 years. I will be there. My staff will be there. If there's any issues, we will be there. You know, that's the one thing about being a sailor. You sail into the storms. You don't run from them because you can't. We'll be there standing with you to make sure that, and I have all the, I honestly don't think it's necessary, but I want you to know that I'm committed to it because staff is going to take care of this. This is going to be a county facility. And we take care of our facilities. We manage our facilities well. And I believe we will do that. I know we will do that with this facility. But I know it's scary. It's a change. But I disagree. This is not an experiment. This has been done successfully in many other communities. And there are many more of these coming because this is an issue, not just here in Palm Beach County, but it's an issue throughout our country. And it's a solution we can bring online quickly and cost effectively. So I will be supporting this. I'm asking for these changes to be made that if you will take a friendly amendment to allow for a supermajority for any future changes, that what we put in place in terms of the requirements be put into the deed, restricted. And so requiring a supermajority for any future changes on that. And I think you've heard everything else are just conditions that would be in the operational side of it.
I can make
With
those
that,
amendments.
I will be supporting this today.
Attorney Falcon.
I'm sorry, is this on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. On the supermajority point, I'm just going to need to look into that a little bit about exactly how we can accomplish that. In the deed would be an odd approach to it. I mean, I know we've done it before in ordinances. It can be done, certainly. It's just a question of how we're going to accomplish
Well,
it.
then, I will leave it to your legal acumen to, when this comes back, for action, because we're have to actually purchase it, that be included in it somehow.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Flores.
Just want to make one point and clarify two other points. District 3, which is the one I represent, we took on the Homeless Resource Center 2, which is in unincorporated Lake Worth. Very similar to today, I think a lot of people in the community had a lot of concerns about how that center was going to be operated, if their lifestyle was going to be changed, if there was going to be criminal activities and things like that. And I was one of those persons that debated what the county was going to do to mitigate that. About a month and a half, was that meeting about a month and a half? Month and a half ago, I got invited to attend one of their quarterly meetings. Is it quarterly or?
Right now, we're quarterly. We start monthly, and that goes back to a point that was made before.
So we attended a quarterly meeting with the county staff. I was there, Isami and some other staff members that run that center. The community was there. Probably some of the neighbors that were the loudest were there. And I walked away thinking, oh my God, there was not one complaint. I think the single complaint that we received was about a garbage truck that knocked down a fence or something, that we were working through that process. But it had nothing to do with the residents or the people that were there. It was an accident, a truck came by, clipped the fence unit, and we're working on fixing it. My point is, I can vouch that the county is a good partner in the community. I think and I was skeptical. But it looks like we have done a great job. We have listened to the community. We have listened to their concerns, and we have done everything that we possibly can in that particular facility to overcome some of the objections. So I know it's not what people want to hear that are here that have objected, but I can firsthand tell you that the county is a good partner. And you have your district commissioner who just made a promise to you. I am making a promise to you that if we're going to be neighbors, we're going to be good neighbors. And if there's ever any issues, we're going to take care of it. So you have two allies up in this board right now that are making a commitment to you that if this goes through, we're going to be good partners. My other two comments are regarding the comments that Commissioner Vice Mayor Baxter made regarding veterans. I love giving priority to the veterans. However, I don't want to have rooms be vacant because we don't have enough veterans. So I do want to prioritize them, and if we have to earmark a certain amount, I am 100% behind that. What I don't want is empty rooms, because if we're going to make this commitment, we want to make sure that we are housing these individuals. And another point is, and I don't know if we prioritize couples, because I'm assuming we can let couples be in the studio, correct? Mm-hmm. I would prioritize couples too, because instead of getting one person help, we can actually help two. So just a thought, but I do like prioritizing veterans, but I don't want to have the beds be empty or the rooms be empty. So thank you.
Commissioner Sachs.
I'd like to also let you know I'm not going to vote for this today because I think we can do better. I think we can do better with housing first. This is sort of a transitional, transitory, supportive, rehabilitative area for them to hang out until we can get them housing. But I would urge everyone to understand that you have 7 partners up here that's going to be watching. Maybe, Ms. Baker, we could have a report as they start this process of redoing the La Quinta into a county supportive housing for veterans and seniors, that they come back and talk to all of us and see how it's going. But in the meantime, I urge our staff to put on the calendar agenda where we can put housing first for people where they can have their own little tiny house. Yes, that can be in District 5. I've identified raw land. I've identified raw land in industrial areas, and staff knows where they are. I look forward to having staff bring that forward, because I know that a tiny house of over 800 square foot with a kitchen, kitchens are important, like their own kitchen and their own front door and their and a bedroom is so much superior to a motel room. So I look forward to having that brought before the board and before the public, and that can all be paid for by federal funds and bond money and not by taxpayers. Yes, Isami, if you want anything. Dr. Collazo, I look forward to hearing from you. I did hear from you at 7:57 p.m. last night. You work on this tirelessly. So I look forward, because you have been to, and you have a list of all the places where we can build tiny homes. So I look forward to having you as a partner with that, along with your staff and Ms. Baker and 6 other commissioners. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Mayor and Commissioner Sachs, if I may, and the rest of the board, staff is coming back on April 8th with a full overview of every single tool we have. And we call them tool in the toolbox, nothing else. So you're going to see mini cottages, you're going to see hotel conversions, you're going to see everything that is being done housing related. You're going to see this team along with Jonathan Brown from Housing and Economic Development showing every single thing we have, every other idea that has come to the table, and we're hoping at that day to receive additional direction as to which ones to continue to pursue, which ones to maybe put in the back burner, and where our efforts should be centered.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Dr. Collazo.
Thank you. Administrator Baker. Okay. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you. Just one small comment, because I know we're all getting hungry. I would just encourage us, as we have these conversations, that whether or not it's Palm Beach County or state or federal dollars, any decisions we make on this, they're all taxpayer dollars. So, and we all pay into each one of those systems from our seats, wherever. I pay into a city as well. So all of those dollars are taxpayer dollars. So let's not pretend that it's a gift from the feds, please.
Thank you. And Ismi.
I have, and I apologize, a procedural comment, if I may, Commissioner Wise. You mentioned that you would like to see the resolution before this comes back to the board. I wanted to be clear that if the board approves today, my colleague to my left, it's going to get approval of the purchase and sale agreement, and she handles closing, so the closing does not come back to the board. So I wanted to make sure that I was clear on that.
Okay. I appreciate that. Oh, Mayor, do I? Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me know. I think we put it into the motion, so however it gets done, whether it comes back as a separate ordinance or however we do it, or if you're able to put it in the closing documents or however you do it.
Understood. We will work with the county attorney and then return to the board with a separate item and continue to move with closing if this board decides to approve.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I've been very quiet. I let everyone else talk. I will wrap it up. This will be the last comments we're going to make, and then we will take a vote. 1, this is almost immediate occupancy. When we talk about the housing bond and all those dollars, those are things that are going to be built. So that is not immediate occupancy. We have issues now. We have 1,000 affordable housing units that are going to come off the affordable housing rolls and become market rate units in the next 5 years. So anything we can do to fill that gap, we need to do. And then the question also is, how many more seniors are we going to have in the next 10 years? Okay? And we have partnerships with all of the agencies that came and spoke with us today. This is not just the county doing this. This is a group effort. This is a community effort. This is a team effort. And like Commissioner Weiss, I've lived in less than 400 square feet also. So if we are making units available for folks to continue to live on their own and have a roof over their heads and have the security that they can put a key in the door and know that everything that's on the other side of that door is theirs and is safe, that is something we are not obligated to, we need to do as human beings who care about everybody else that's out there. This is not transitional housing. This is not homeless housing. This is for folks that may be losing the housing that they are in because of costs. We've had people come to us that want us to help with the cost of their renovations on their condos. Again, taxpayer dollars. That's not what this is. This is keeping people in homes. So I, for one, am very strongly in favor of this. I know we have a second question, which is the Ramada Inn question. So we will take a vote on this, and then we will, what would you like to do about the Ramada Inn question?
Actually, the board has given us direction at our last meeting to go start negotiations and do the due diligence on that property as well. But we need to do the due diligence before we come back. We did have 2 appraisals done. We have an average cost, but you gave me that permission last week.
So the Ramada, as the second part of the agenda item, which says talk about the Ramada, everyone is, I guess I should say, the board directive here right now would be yes, continue that discussion with the Ramada Inn. Is that the feeling of the board? I'm getting heads shaking yes. Okay. All right, so at this point in time, we need a supermajority vote for this purchase. Is that correct? Okay, so we will take a roll call vote, please, because we have a first, a second. We've added conditions which include 1 year for a resident, and we're making a strong push that while we are not setting aside X amount for veterans, it's really give them a priority in this.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Flores? Yes. Commissioner Powell?
Yes.
Commissioner Sachs?
No.
Commissioner Weiss?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodward?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Baxter?
No.
Mayor Marino?
Yes.
5-2.
Thank you. The motion carries, and it is 1:14. Let's be back here at 2 o'clock. We are adjourned at this moment, and we'll return.
Welcome to Inside PBC, where we highlight what's going on inside Palm Beach County. Registration for Back to School PBC is open and will close on May 1st for the July scheduled event. Palm Beach County's Office of Community Revitalization offers assistance in offsetting the costs of getting kids ready for back to school. Participating families must live in designated neighborhoods to be eligible to register. And March is Florida Bicycle Month. Parks and Recreation has a full moon bike ride planned this month. A bike rodeo at Westgate